Can you hear me, everybody? Yes, you can hear me? Good morning, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining the Queens. We Ain't Crazy, it's only the menopause session this morning. Good morning, good evening, good night. Wherever you are in the world, welcome. Today is a good day, Queens. To be on the platform, to listen, to talk and share our experiences throughout this morning's session. Sometimes you just want to scream, other times you just want to cry because there's just so much going on. It's too hot, it's too cold, window open, window shut, sweating. What did I go upstairs for? Even this morning, I went upstairs and I stood on the landing thinking, what did I come up here for now? And I stood there for a good 15, 20 seconds trying to remember. But I eventually remembered, thank goodness. So menopause, it just conjures up all sorts of anomalies, all sorts of things going on with you physically, mentally, emotionally. And this is the platform where we're going to be talking we've got a vast array of presenters with different perspectives, all about this topic of menopause. We have another phenomenal panel of speakers that will share, educate, and inform as women of colour pass through the menopause. Brilliant things happen when we talk to real people. This is a unique opportunity to hear from experienced professionals to begin to understand and heal whilst on this journey. So we're going to be touching on a couple of key areas. So we're going to be trying to understand hormonal cycles, common symptoms of PMS and menopause, diet and lifestyle management to combat the menopause. And a lot of you will know that I always take a very holistic approach to health. So it's also, as well as, you know, having different, it's about getting enough sleep, you know, your diet, consuming enough water, etc., exercise. And a lot of you know that I'm an exercise queen. So there's lots of things that we need to incorporate into our daily lifestyle, our daily routines. We'll be looking at traditional treatments, and there's always another way. So we'll be looking at alternative treatments. Yeah. So that's giving you a brief flavour of what we're going to be talking about this morning. So I hope you're excited. I hope you've got your pens, your paper ready to take notes, and please post into the chat. So any questions, please post everything into the chat, because I've got my fantastic co-host, Nadia. Say hi to the people.
Hi everyone, I'm just letting everybody in. I'm just focusing on that, making sure that we get all of our queens into the forum. And then from there, we're going to have a good time learning about what's going on in our bodies for those of us that are there, like me.
Thanks, Nadia. And I've also got my brilliant business partner, Rudy James, is also helping in the background. So it's not just me, you know, I need a little bit of help, yeah, as we all need a little bit of help. So being on this platform, you will be getting, you know, support, help, questions, and these might be professionals that you can tap into after, you know, we've done the session. So once again, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I need to give a big shout out so you can see these people are real, yeah? So my queen, Abby, are you on the platform, my queen? Abby, are you there? Unmute yourself, darling. Yeah. Abby. Oh, what's happened here? Right. Could somebody unmute everybody so I can just give a big shout out to the host, please, to the presenters.
Hello.
Why? Ah, there we go. There we go. It wasn't allowing me to unmute, but there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Joan, I think you're now on mute, so we can't hear you.
Hi, Abby. Sorry about that.
Hi. Hi, no, it's all good. I'm muted now.
Right, wonderful. So if you could just say hi to everybody and just, you know, give them a little snippet of what your presentation is called.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Lovely to see you all on so early this morning. So my presentation is called Balancing Hormones with Essential Oils and Holistic Health.
Wonderful. Kandeki, are you in the house?
Greetings, my sister. Greetings, all the queen.
Wonderful. Hello, my darling. How are you?
I'm giving thanks.
Are you looking so regal?
Listen, man, I thought, okay, watch me putting myself, when I see you in your dark, because I was like, hold on, man, this is taking another
level. We rock hard, you know.
All right. So thank you for inviting me on the platforms this morning. So I'll be speaking about holistic health, herbal medicine, and nutrition.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Marlene, how are you, my darling? Where are you, Queen? Marlene, are you?
Hi, everyone. I'm here. I'm Marlene, and I will be talking about, well, it's entitled really Laugh or Cry, Psychotherapy Can Help. So that's going to be my talk, looking at the psychological impact of the menopause.
Wonderful. Thank you, my darling. And Carol, the glamorous Carol, where are you, my darling?
Good morning, sweetheart. Good morning, everybody.
Hi.
I'm delighted to be part of the show.
Oh, welcome.
Especially so early. So I'll be talking about midlife, menopause, and reinvention, ladies. All in 10 minutes.
Fantastic. You can do it. You can do it. So, Abby, I'm going to kick off with you, my darling.
Okay.
And I just want to ask a quick question before you go into your presentation.
Sure.
Right? So if you could pick 3 top tips in regards to like diet and lifestyle management that a woman could just easily incorporate into her sort of like, you know, what she does every day, what sort of like quick fixes could we kind of incorporate into our lifestyle or our diet, etc.? I mean, you might touch on it in your presentation.
Yeah.
But what sort of like springs to mind if you had 3 top tips?
3 top tips.
Yeah.
Make sure that you are getting your green juices each morning. Really, really important to get the chlorophyll out of our green vegetables. We're melanin-rich women. We're melanin-rich people. We need the chlorophyll to feed the melanin. Tip number 2, a bit like you mentioned earlier, make sure you are getting your water. So your 2.5 litres of water. I know it sounds a lot to some people, but you know, just take your glasses throughout the day and make sure you've got your water that you can continue to cleanse. Tip number 3, even when it isn't sunny, so this morning it's grey, you've still got the UVB rays. So it's really important for us as melanin-rich people to get out there and get that fresh air and get those UVB rays into our skin so that we can then turn that into our wonderful, rich vitamin D, which again helps support our melanin, which is a natural antioxidant if we use it effectively. Those are my 3 tips.
Oh, that's fantastic. Wow. I mean, I've got the water down and the green juices. But you know, the last tip about the so and these are things that we can easily incorporate into our lifestyle, isn't it? Especially the water. So especially the water. That is brilliant. Thank you so much, my darling. So I'm going to let you go into your wonderful presentation, which we're all so looking forward to. So, ladies, I hope you've got your pens and pads and ready to, you know, take down some really, really good, you know, information.
Right, let's get sharing this screen. Excuse me. Here we go. Let's get it up. Oops, actually, before I do that, let me just kick. There we go, share screen. Bear with me a minute, ladies. My presentation for some reason. There it is. There it is. There it is. Okay, from beginning. Just move this over. Slideshow. Okay, so good morning again. Wonderful to see you all on so early. So balancing hormones, doTERRA essential oils and holistic health. So I'm the founder of Soul Medicine. I'm the wife and mother of 2 amazing young people. I'm the author of Nature's Medicine for the Soul. I'm an essential oil educator, a holistic health and lifestyle coach, creator of Empowering You Coaching for Women, and a clinical hypnotherapist. And the very final one, I know it's early in the morning, I'm the car keys in the fridge practitioner. And what I mean by that is I am in menopause, right? And if I can count the times on my hand when I've took my car key, I have no memory of putting it in the fridge. And I'm running around, taking everything out of my house. Oh my God, where's my car key? Because I can't go anywhere. And there's the car key in the fridge next to the oat milk. So that is one of my, one of the things that happens to me during menopause anyway. So what are hormones? So hormones, just to give an overview, are the chemical messengers that actually affect every single cell in our body. They're relayed by what's known as the hypothalamus that controls all the hormones. So kind of, I guess it's like the control center in the middle of the brain. And the key hormone that really affects us during menopause is estrogen. Our estrogen levels drop dramatically. And estrogen supports healthy skin, bones, ovaries. It's kind of like, it's like a lubricant. It's like the fuel in the car. It allows us to stay focused. It's really, really important for brain and memory function, which is something else that we struggle with. It's important for bones and to keep lubricant around the bones, which when we start to lose it, because our estrogen kind of drops a bit off a cliff, really, what you then find is the bones can become brittle. It's much easier for us to twist our ankle and take a much longer time to recover from that. As women, we have over 200 hormones in the body. So there is a lot going on at any one time. And when something's out of balance, it takes us out of balance, but particularly estrogen. That's where we really, really struggle the most in terms of our menopause. So what is an essential oil? So an essential oil, they're found in plants, they're found in roots, they're found in leaves, flowers, buds, seeds, and the skin of fruits. And I'm specifically talking about doTERRA essential oils today. I was introduced to essential oils about 30 years ago. I was blessed enough to go and stay with a family in Egypt. And they introduced me to what they called natural oils at that time. I'd never heard of essential oils, didn't know what they were, was not particularly interested, but they really started me on a journey, which has kind of, I guess, taken me on this path. So doTERRA essential oils are tested 5 times for their purity. So you know there's no other fillers or chemicals or pesticides in them, because it is legal in the UK and Europe to blend your oils and only have around 3% of the active chemical compound of the plant, but you can still sell it as 100% pure oil because you mix it with a carrier, which has generally been used as a pesticide or a herbicide. So it's important to know that there are different grades, as with many things. Frankincense is the king of oils. It's an incredible oil. I'm going to come on and talk about that later. And I know that some of you on here already use this. So yeah, and a wonderful, powerful oil. So some of the symptoms that some of us, and you know, the list is endless. Some of the menopausal symptoms, hot flushes is a big one. Particularly, you'll find you maybe get flushes during the day, but at night time, I don't get huge amounts of flushes, but sometimes at night I get really, really hot. I'm pulling the cover off, my husband's pulling the cover on, you know, we're doing the on-off thing. But when it happens at night, the reason why they feel so much more intense at night is because 1, your body's laying flat, you're laying down. 2, naturally, if you're underneath a quilt or a cover, you're going to have a higher temperature than you normally will. So coupled with that, what you're going to find is you're going to flush even more, and it's going to feel more aggressive to the body in terms of those estrogen levels. Memory loss is a significant one. I think this has been a real challenge for me. having to write everything down, a bit like Joan was saying, walk up the stairs. What was I walking up? Go outside. What did I go outside for? You know, that's a really big one. And also loss of words. I do a lot of presentations, a lot of talks. And when in my early days, I'd be on the stage and then the words would have gone on holiday. And I'd be thinking, what was I going to say? And it was embarrassing until I just told people, you know, I'm going through menopause, this happens. And the words would come back eventually. Headaches, weight gain, bloating, increased stress and anxiety. Given what's going on around us at the moment, there is an increased level anyway because we're uncertain. Sleep deprivation is massive, particularly if you keep waking up in the night to go wee. And then you can't get back to sleep. So that's really challenging as well because that knocks you out of sorts for the whole day. Low libido, again, estrogen is the sex hormone. It's responsible for, you know, ovaries. It's responsible for that time when in our childbearing years. So when the estrogen drops, so do the libido levels. Vaginal dryness is another one. Again, it is the fuel of the body. It's like the lubricant. So sometimes it can be really painful to urinate. And that's because the vaginal walls have become very, very dry. So just kind of be aware that these are some of the aspects and symptoms that you may suffer through the menopausal journey. So here are some of the essential oils that I found, and with many of the women that I've worked with as a holistic health coach, have found very, very supportive. There's never one fix. It's a holistic approach to the body, right? But these have been really helpful. So frankincense, this is my go-to oil. It's known as the king of oils. It's the oil for brain and memory fog. So this is fog. So this is really good. What I do is, and I'm just talking about these doTERRA oils because they're ingestible, because of the way that they're tested, many of them. I will literally get it like this. I'll put it onto the flat of my thumb. I put it to the roof of my mouth. It goes straight through the mucous membrane, straight to the brain, which is linking up with the limbic system, which is our seat of emotion. And I use that for brain and memory function. It's incredible for meditation, for calming, for hormone balancing, for boosting immunity, and many other things, which I haven't got time to go through today because I'm very conscious of time. You can also put it in a little glass of water and take it. You can rub it on your pulse points and the back of your neck, which is the brainstem, which opens up and allows oxygen to get into your cells. Phytoestrogen capsules, again, these are plant-based estrogen supplements. You cannot replicate our own estrogen, but the plant-based estrogens have a very similar shape to our estrogen. So when you take them in the body believes that it is estrogen, and it will either open up the cell receptor if you need more estrogen, or it will close the cell receptor if you need less estrogen in the body. Copaiba is an oil that's actually from the Amazon, so it's from northern Brazil. It's been used by the Amazonians for many thousands of years. It's a great oil for liver cleansing. The home of the hormones is in the liver, so it's really important that we keep this area as cleansed as possible. It's great for digestive issues, respiratory support, and also helping to reduce inflammation. Clary Calm is a blend of oils which has clary sage. Some of you may be aware of that already. Geranium, Ravinsara, raspberry leaf, and so on and so forth. This one is a rollable bottle and is wonderful. It smells beautiful. It's really good for soothing hot flushes very, very quickly. So it's one that you can carry around with you. I've got a bottle of this up in my bedroom. I've got a bottle of it in my car. I've got 3 bottles just in case I forget where I put the bottle, because, you know, there's a bit of memory going on here. Serenity is a blend of oils, which is, again, it's incredible for sleep and stress reduction. So if you're somebody that's struggling with sleep, it's really good pulse points on your pillow or in a diffuser. And Balance, again, is a great blend for calming and grounding. These are tree oils, so oils like Howood, Siberian fir. There is frankincense in here and ylang ylang. So these are all beautifully calming oils that, again, connect with through the nasal passages, up through the olfactory, right through to the limbic system. You can use them in a diffuser. You can rub the essential oils on the soles of your feet. They're the largest pores in the body. It will be within the bloodstream within 20 seconds and around every cell in the body within 20 minutes. So it's a very powerful way of application, and very fast as well. And again, as I mentioned, you can use them on your pulse points. Now, I have got all the prices of the oils here, but I'm conscious of time. So even if you take a snapshot of this, please do, because I'm more than happy to link with you after this, where I've got all of my details up, and we can have a proper conversation if you're interested in the essential oils. Emotional health optimization. So again, emotions and our hormones are inextricably linked. Yeah, so you don't get one without the other, and it is all about keeping the body in balance holistically. So just ensure, ladies, where you can, remember to fill up your own energy cup and give from your overflow. If you, somebody's not on mute, I can hear some crackling there. But if you are filling up your own energy cup and giving from your overflow, then you're not depleted yourself. You're ensuring that other people are getting the best from you, but you're looking after yourself. Spiritual self-care, really important. You know, it's the mind, body, spirit connection. So self-care is number one. And that self-care comes in the form of connecting to self and your own spirituality on your own path. Joan, the amazing lady that set up these wonderful walking groups, exercise and flexibility. I know many of you are on this call will be aware of this already. Just ensure you're doing something. It can be really, really gentle. Yeah, it doesn't have to be over the top. Flexibility is key. As I spoke, estrogen, when you're losing your estrogen, it's very easy to lose your flexibility as well. So natural stretching every day can really help. Meditating or prayer and connecting with self is also great. Ensuring you've got the right foods, good nutrition, and diaphragmatic breathing. So that's belly breathing, that's deep. This isn't chest breathing, this is breathing from the belly. Getting that breath in is very, very helpful for bringing oxygen to the cells, but also to help balance hormones as well. So daily fruit and vegetable servings, we touched on this because Joan asked me a question earlier on. So get in your chlorophyll, get in your greens, you know, get in your green smoothie shakes. Now, ideally, if you can, and I know the taste might be a bit different, if you can have greens on their own and have your fruits on their own, yeah, that way you are ensuring that you're bringing structured water into the cells of the body. The body knows it has a job to do. Yeah, it needs to be hydrated and it needs to be fed nutritiously. So if that's a possibility, that's great. If you want to mix up your vegetables and your vegetables with your fruits, go ahead and do that. It's much better than not having it at all. And again, for us as melanin-rich people, the greens, the purple sweet potato, the purple broccoli, the purple carrots, the black currants, the blueberries, all of these things really help to feed our melanin. I am, and those of you that are on here that know me and have worked with me, you know I'm a massive believer in grounding. You know, I call it the feminine connection to earth. We naturally connect. When you connect to the earth, what happens is you are really connecting into the earth's electrons, Mother Earth's limitless free electrons. We have an electrical current that charges us as individuals. And what you're doing is feeding that. When you're connecting to the earth and it's been raining, you're getting an even better charge through your feet. It's coming up through the earth, synchronizing your body clock, helping to reduce inflammation. It stimulates melanin, it improves sleep, reduces the stress hormone, which is cortisol, and is very mood enhancing. For those of you that have been out on my grounding sister days out in the 20 acres of woodland, you know how this feels. But you can do this in your garden. If you haven't got a garden, you can do it in the park, you know, 5 minutes a day, however you feel to do it. If you're unable and you've got to sit down on a seat and put your feet down, or even if you're actually holding grass or earth in your hand, it's still helping you to connect. So I think this is a tip that all of us should try if you haven't already. A little bit about me. These are my details. These are all of my classes that I've got coming up and courses that I'm running. both inside and outside in nature. Take a picture if you can. I'm going to post it onto the link anyway, so you've got the information. And I would just like to say thank you so much for coming on, for listening here this morning. So Balancing Hormones is actually on the 18th of November. I've got a class on that. Nature's Medicine Cabinet I've got there. 4-week holistic group coaching, emotional wellness for the melanin mind, and all the outside stuff that I do in Filands Woods, which is now happening in December. So I'd just like to say thank you for being present. It's been wonderful for being invited here. Thank you, Joan, and I look forward to reconnecting with each of you or some of you at a later date. Okay, take care. Stay blessed. There we go. Finitoed.
Abby, you were brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you so much. Excellent. And so much to really think about and consider from a natural, holistic perspective. You know, so brilliant, brilliant. And I like the bit about the frankincense. Can you tell me a little bit about more how that works? Is you put it on your thumb and you put it in your roof of your mouth? Is that what you said?
So this is what I do, but by the way, people, I've got big thumb. I've got big thumbs. Some people do it and they go, it keeps falling off. So if that happens, right, what you can also do is just get a drop of frankincense, lift up the tongue, drop underneath your tongue. Yeah. Again, it's going straight through into your system as well. So you use it how you want to use it. Some people I put it on my third eye here. Down the back of the neck at the brainstem, it's opening up the brainstem and allowing oxygen to get to the brain, because we've got more oxygen in the cells, our memory increases. We remember more, we can focus and concentrate more.
Right. So that's really predominant to help with memory, so that I understand it correctly.
Very predominant to help with memory, to boost immunity, yeah, to help with skin, cardiovascular health. I only did a few things because I was conscious of time. Yeah, it does so much more than that. But yeah, for today, definitely.
I like to ask questions anyway. And you spoke about the plant-based estrogens. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Plant-based.
Yeah, absolutely. So they are phytoestrogen capsules. So plants cannot recreate estrogen as we do in the body, but phytoestrogens are plant-based. I guess a form of plant-based estrogen. So what happens is we have millions of cell receptors within the body. So when you take plant-based estrogen, and you can also get this from food, but I'm conscious that somebody else is going to be talking about that, so I'm going to leave that because it'll be in another presentation. But what you're actually getting is you're getting the plant-based, which is working with the estrogen cell receptors. So it's a very similar shape. So when you take it internally, the cell receptor believes that it is taking in estrogen. So it will bind to the outside of the cell receptor. If you need more estrogen, it will just allow you to have that increase of balance. If you are estrogen dominant, I know we're not talking about these things today, fibroids, PCOS, etc. When it binds to the cell receptor, it closes it off. So you get less of an estrogen release in the body.
Oh, right, okay. That's fascinating, just to understand the science and the mechanics behind the whole thing. Wow.
Plants are amazing.
They are, very much so, very much so. We need more.
Yes.
Thank you so much, my darling. That was just, wow, I'm blown away, blown away. And we're going to probably have to do this session again, because there is just so much to try and pack in.
I know, I know.
Time.
Hello, hello. Hello.
Sorry about that. Let me just go back. I don't know what's happened there. Right, we're going to be speedily moving on to our next presenter. Kandeki, are you in the house? Can you hear us? If you take yourself off mute.
Yes, I can. Greetings. Let me try.
Greetings, my darling. Greetings. Thank you. Welcome to the platform.
Thank you.
And you're going to be presenting on the science, the art and science of using nutrition and herbal medicine during the menopausal years. And I'm so looking, because this is going to be really taking us back to our roots, isn't it?
Well, hold on, just give me a second.
got a bit of technical going on there.
Oh yeah. You know,
don't worry, we all have it.
Wow.
Whilst you sort yourself out, I've just got a quick question to ask you.
Yes.
And I've always been, I mean, we've got our conventional ways of doing things. Yeah, and we're quite fortunate to live in a country. We've got the NHS, there's an infrastructure in there. You can go to your doctor and he'll give you whatever pills and potions, etc., to sort of battle with the menopause. But I'm very much a woman. I do like the natural ways of dealing with dealing with most things, if possible. So can you give us, if you could give us like 3 quick things that we could incorporate, that's really easy to incorporate into your lifestyle, your diet, that could kind of help to balance things out?
Yeah, certainly. The first thing that I would say is how you perceive menopause, your perception itself, because your thoughts influence the physical, and we call it the biochemical reactions in your body. So if you perceive growing older or menopause of something, oh my God, I'm getting older, oh my God, then what you're saying to your body is that this is stress. And so your body reacts according to what you say to yourself. So that would be the first thing, and I'll touch a little bit on that in the presentation. The second thing is, as our presenter previously said, is your nutrition. And one of the things that I ask people is, again, I'll touch on that, but certainly nutrition and certain vitamins and minerals that the body needs. And I will say here, one of the things I say is, what are you made from? Are you made from? And I'll touch again in the presentation. So certainly that. And then, well, my degree is in medical herbalism, and I'll touch a little bit about what I've done. Understanding how to use, there's many things really, but understanding how to use herbs, which are specialized foods, understanding how to use that intelligently in our body, because our ancestors, our mothers knew this. This is the wisdom of our ancestors. And many of us coming from the Caribbean or Africa knew that they would go and pick bush. So what I'm saying is to put that back into our lives, the wisdom of our ancestors. So that's what I would say.
Fantastic. Yeah, and I very much like this. It's what you say about like our parents, our mums, our grandparents, and they had a bush for everything, didn't they? You know, your hand hanging off, they go pick a bush. You know, they were amazing medics. You know, they were doctors in their own rights, and we've lost a lot of that. You know, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's because it was part of that. It was, health was just a part of living. We come from a holistic perspective, and through colonialization, through becoming more and more engrossed in a Western mindset, we've lost that. And these are the things that we want to do. We want to go back to that. So I'm
not going to delay you any longer with the presentation, but one of the things that really kind of like resonates with me, you know, it's really important to talk positive things into your life. Yeah. So if you're there and you're saying to yourself, why I can't get up, you know, or, you know, kind of like, it's like having negative thoughts hold you back. Yeah.
And not just that, there's a whole field of science called psychoneuroimmunology that looks at the biological pathways of stress. So you have to imagine, as a human being, you're interconnected with everything. The human being doesn't live in isolation. So when you begin to think certain things, the body has to readjust because it's a living intelligence. And this is part of the presentation anyway, so it's okay.
Yeah, you kick off. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so the body's a living intelligence. So we don't have to say to our heart, keep beating, or our lungs to keep breathing, because there is something greater that is taking place and is running the show. The only thing we have to do is to ensure that we put food in our mouth. And even that, many of us get wrong. So there is a greater intelligence that are working, and we traditionally had the ability to tune in. And these are some of the key things that as human beings, and especially as women, because as women, we're the gatekeepers of health. We are the ones that look after the children. We are the ones who tell our men, look, you look like you need to go doctor, put this on, because that is naturally our role. Right, so let's go to menopause. So what is menopause? And, many times, I ask this question in the workshops, and, they said, oh, okay, so many things. I'm just going to go straight into this. And, menopause, so it comes from a Latin word month, menses as well, comes from that word month, which actually goes back to the Greek word meaning moon, and then pause is stop. So it means that the monthly stop. Now, menopause is actually retrospective. So many people, they aren't clear in terms of the medical definition. So maybe I should just give a little background on myself. So I am medically trained. I have a degree in medical herbalism. I've worked in private healthcare for the last 12 years and been in holistic health for over 30 years as a Rasta woman, lived a very natural life, and then decided I wanted to do a degree specifically in medicine and herbal medicine and also nutrition. And so, and I've worked alongside gynecologists, endocrinologists, diabetic specialists. And so being in that field, it's also good to understand medically what we're talking about, as well as the tradition. And I'm also been training with the Dogon people of West Africa for over 7 years in traditional medicine. So, but medically, how they see menopause is that it's 12 months after your last period. So what does that mean? If you menstruate you've stopped menstruating, and then 6 months later you see menstrual blood again, then you have to go another 12 months clear before you are officially in menopause. Prior to that time, you are in what we call perimenopause or climacteric. So it's really important to understand it. Why? Because you get the baby coming sometimes. Some women think they haven't seen their menstrual cycle about 6, 7, 8 months, and happily going along, and you get catch later on, and that happens. So it's really important to understand that it's 12 months clear clinically. That's when you're in menopause. Okay, so, and if you see you're bleeding after that, I would suggest you go and see your doctors, because that could mean anything. Hopefully it's nothing, but if you do bleed after the 12 months, it's always a good thing to go and see your GP, because something else could be. So that's that clarification. And perimenopause is all of that time around it, with all the symptoms that people refer to. I'm going to skip through certain things, but many people say menopause starts between like 45. It's actually starting a lot earlier with a lot of the women. I was doing a radio show the other day, and someone said to me that they knew a young girl, she was 21, and she was going through menopause. Now that is an exception to the case, but I have seen more and more people in the early 40s, late 30s, beginning to go into menopause. So there's a lot of other things happening, which we may not even be able to touch on today, but that is happening more and more. And actually for the young girl, they were saying that maybe she needed to get her eggs frozen, so that she wanted to have children down the road. So that was how that had to be dealt with. But so this is the view of menopause, the hot flushes and so forth. And again, we'll speak a little bit about the symptoms, the night sweats, the headaches, the forgetfulness. But we have many women that go through menopause and do not have these symptoms. So if menopause was something that you must get these symptoms, then every woman would get it. Because if you live long enough, you're going to go through menopause. There's going to be a time when you stop menstruating, but not every woman has those symptoms, which means that menopause can be controlled and maintained. Now, I just want to highlight this woman here. Don't know how old you think this woman is, but this woman is in her 70s, probably now 80 now. In this picture, she's about 74. And this woman made changes to her lifestyle where she was juicing, green juicing, where she was eating certain foods. And they found in the studies that women who were vegetarian and ate certain foods had lower incidences of menopausal symptoms, or the intensity was reduced. They also showed studies to show that they did studies and that showed that women who experience negative psychosocial issues in their life, so trauma in early life, or even in their relationships, maybe abuse, these women tended to have more serious menopausal symptoms. It says then that your lifestyle has everything to do with what you experience. Now, we know that some women, through their family, I just finished a course and there was a woman who's saying she didn't have much menopausal symptom, neither did her parents. So in the lineage, there are aspects, but it also has everything to do with, well, how did that family live? How were they eating? How did they deal with life? There's this, I spoke earlier about this thing called psychoneuroimmunology, and the previous speaker spoke about the limbic region in the brain, which is the emotional seat of the brain. The hypothalamus, which is that structure that releases the hormones during your whole cycle and menopause, sits in that region of the brain called the emotional brain, the limbic region. This is where your thoughts and the hormonal system interact. With that interaction, how you think directly affects what happens in your body. And that field of science shows how these hormones, these biological processes, cause things like, if you're going through your menstrual cycle, more heavy bleeding. It causes anovulation, where you don't ovulate, and it also causes increases in night sweats, increases in hot flushes, increases in headache. So literally how you think, because as a human being, we are made up of various aspects, not just the physical aspect. Because I always say, if I'm sitting here now and I should die, heaven forbid, you will still see my body, but something has left. So force that energizes your body has a force to it, an energy to it, and it works with the body. It is the vehicle for the body. And just like if you have your Ferrari or you have your Rolls Royce, you're not going to put no little cheap petrol in that vehicle. You're going to make sure you take care of it. So how much more important is the vehicle in which the spirit resides to journey through this place that we call Earth, this time and space? How much more important is this vehicle that we, one, get to know ourselves? That's why at the beginning I said how you perceive menopause, because it has everything to do with how you perceive life. What are you here to do in life? Are you achieving what you set out to do? All of those impact on you, the human being. So your lifestyle has everything to do with, and your thinking has everything to do with your how you go through these possible symptoms. And you don't have to have these symptoms, but these are some of the symptoms, and the speaker spoke about them before. There's over 34 symptoms, I think, and I live in North London. Big up to the North London sisters, but South North as well. I live in North London, right? Now, the borough that I live in, Haringey, they are a program for menopausal women. And what we found with, I think there was over 20 women that, for all backgrounds, what we found was that the women in that room who gave their stories, who gave their testimonies, those who were eating, and it's the reality, the processed food, they had issues in their life. They didn't like where they're working, because when you start to dig a little bit deeper, you hear the horrendous effects that they had in during their menopause, and I know a speaker's going to be speaking a little bit about the psychological effects, but she was sacked from work, and I think that's going to be mentioned. Why? Because of the effects that she had. Then you had the sisters who said, and there was about 2 out of that group who were walking every day. They had, you know, a very balanced lifestyle. They were eating, and these 2 sisters, I didn't even notice when my menopause came. So we had everything to do with how they were living their life. Now, I'm just going to, diet is a key thing, and I'm just going to say here, I mentioned the other thing, what are you made from? Is this physical? I'm not going to the spirit or the soul. What is the physical body made from? And some people say, well, there's organs and there's cells, and yes, but what are those cells made from? When you break down this physical structure, what is the fundamentals that you're made from? It's the elements from the earth: carbon, hydrogen, magnesium, potassium. And because the body is a living organism, feed from that which it came from, which is why we stress upon nutrition, because it has to feed itself. It is a living organism that itself. That's why I said your body does everything. Once you put food in the mouth, have anything else to do with that, higher takes over. All you have to do is put the right foods in, put the foods in that body can use. It's like the tools that the builder needs to build a house, put the right foods in. Now, key ones in menopause is vitamin D, because during menopause, you can have bone. And so load-bearing exercises are important. What load-bearing? The weight-bearing. So stretching and that is good, but you need the weight-bearing to maintain your bone mass. If you think about, you know, you say, oh, Auntie, oh, she looks sharp, oh, she shrink. That's because she is. That's because she's losing bone mass. Do you maintain your bone mass? Vitamin D is key, but you need to do that with load-bearing exercises. And these are some of the foods that you find vitamin D in. So we need it, the sunshine more, we need bone health because it assists calcium. Another way is magnesium. It also works with bone health, but it does many others. These are minerals. Minerals are components in the earth that the body has to use in small amounts. So this is there's 2 food groups, macronutrients and the micronutrients. We're now talking in the micronutrient group. I've had to kind of jump a bit because it's just a 10-minute talk, but we're talking from the micronutrients. They're small, but they're just as expensive. Like your eyelashes, they're really tiny, right? But if you didn't have them, how much dust would get into your eyes? They're key. So these are key for your well-being, especially around menopause. And the other one is, of course, calcium. So there's magnesium and there's calcium. I'm just going to move on now to the last bit, which was the phytoestrogens, which the last presenter spoke about. Now, with phytoestrogens, we have something called competitive inhibition. So the receptors that the previous speaker was speaking about, yes, we have that. But what herbs are able to do, and I am running a course and I'll talk about it a little bit more so you can get a really deeper understanding about herbs, because herbs and nutrition come from the earth. We come from the earth. We are simply putting into our bodies that which we came from. But with the understanding of how these herbs work, we can then use them, which is what our grandmothers had, which is what I started right at the very beginning. They didn't have to go to university to know that, because that was thousands of years of knowledge that was passed down. And if any of you have any aunties, any grandmothers or mothers alive who know anything, go back to that reservoir of knowledge, because when they're gone, we've lost it. And understand that their PhD people, doctors, they go into these villages. That's how they get their PhDs. They go into Kew Gardens. They specialize in tropical areas, speaking to our ancestors, getting the knowledge, and they deposit they deposit it in their universities. So then you have to pay to get that knowledge. Our ancestors have it. Go to them and get it. So I would always say, go to them and get that information. So just really quickly, these are some of the phytoestrogen foods. And so some of the beans, the peas, the grains, we can talk more about that. And then some of the phytoestrogen plants. And these are what we call amphoteric. So if your estrogen levels are low, some of these plants can help to bring it up. If your estrogen levels are too high, like with fibroids, you can get too much estrogen in the body, makes the fibroid grow, then you can use herbs to balance. So just a few of these: Simisafuga, let's go the right direction, Angelica Senensi. I'm just going to see really quickly, Don Quai. This is the Chinese female ginseng. It's a huge one that's used across China for thousands of years, and it's been incorporated into the Western materia medica. And just another one, Vitex agnus, which really helps to balance your hormones. So when you're using plant estrogen, and why plant estrogen is so key, understand this: many people use the pill to, you know, not get pregnant. The pill is made from a plant called Dioscora villosa, wild yam. That's why they use wild yam creams for. It has the estrogen structure. And again, we'll talk more about these in the course so you can understand. Us humans are linked to the earth, and the plants were here before us. We feed from those in more ways than one. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'll just say, if you're interested in the course, I'm doing a one-day women's holistic herbal courses where I won't just cover menopause. I'm going to look at things like heavy bleeding, painful periods, so forth. But I put the link in the group chat, and I want to thank you for listening.
Please, can you show the magnesium slide again for me, please?
Magnesium. Okay, let's go back. This one or this one? This one?
No, the person has been muted because you've come to the end of your presentation.
Oh, right. Sorry, I didn't know if it was someone from your team. Okay.
No. So everyone is supposed to post their questions into the chat, and then I've got my co-host who's kind of monitoring, and then we're going to pick up on any sort of like key salient things, and participants will have an opportunity at the end to ask questions as well. Yeah, that's how we're trying to keep this slick and keep it moving. Yeah, but that was wow, I'm blown away, absolutely blown away. And interesting enough, it just shows, because we had a event last week which called Queen's Black Hair Rocks, and again, vitamin D was key to being in your diet. So as well as the menopause, it affects all aspects of your health and your well-being. Vitamin D, especially for us as people of color, vitamin D is key. So it's really interesting that, you know, it just keeps coming up, you know, and we just have to find ways of really kind of like incorporating it into our diets. So Annie talked about exercise, which I like, and I've got a lot of the Queens, because I run a thing called the Queens Walking Group in South East London, and you know, exercise, especially when you're menopausal, is key, because it kind of puts all the sweating and all the other stuff that's going on at bay. It doesn't stop it, but it kind of helps you to manage yourself a bit better. So yeah, phenomenal. And I think we're going to have to do this again, because it was a bit quick, wasn't it? And there was just so much, especially from that natural perspective. I know that I was tight with the time, but you know, you gave us a really good kind of like flavor of what, you know, we can incorporate into our lifestyle. And you know, you're going to put your contacts into the chat, yeah, so people can hook up with you. Yeah. So thank you very, very much, my darling. That was magnificent, brilliant. Thank you, excellent. So swiftly moving along now, we've got the beautiful Marlene.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Queens.
Morning. So Marlene, you are going to be speaking from the psychological impact of menopause and how psychotherapy can help. And it sounds pretty deep.
I'm going to make it as light as possible. I'm not going to go deep.
So it's over to you, my darling.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Right, so, okay. So I shall start talking. So psychotherapy, where does that come in? That comes in when you're trying everything. You're trying the greens, the oils, the herbal drinks, and you're still getting one of the other, I think there was actually 49 symptoms of menopause, such as digestive problems, electric shocks, muscle tension, gum problems, itchy skin, gritty nails, irregular heartbeat. So some of the other problems that's not talked about a lot, you're still getting those symptoms and you just can't cope. As a woman approaches the age of menopause, experiencing perhaps her first hot flush can be a watershed. It's a sign of the beginning of the menopause, and with it, there can be a huge sense of loss. Many women grieve about the loss of their youth. They mourn their final period. Yes, many mourn their final period, seeing it as an end to their femininity. And some women enter a critical crisis stage whereby they consciously or unconsciously begin to start assessing their life and their future. So many have said, so what am I going to do now? Who wants me now? And they then start also looking at what have they done with their life. So yes, the menopause can evoke a strong sense of failure, dread, and the fear of what lies ahead. For a woman who hasn't had children, it's a final step. You begin to realize that motherhood's not going to come for you. For others who have had children, there may be grief around the loss of that part of their lives. Your children might be moving on now. And as mentioned before by the other ladies, menopause can have a significant impact on your relationship. The loss of libido may signal a loss of desirability and also put a certain amount of pressure on the relationship with your partner. And then many of us have to also deal with hormonal teenagers and our parents who are aging. The now very present impact of having to face COVID-related anxiety, as well as the anxiety that naturally occurs with menopause, leave many of my clients struggling to come to terms with thinning hair, sweats from the inside moving upwards and outwards, finally exploding as water beads on your forehead, leaving you praying that no one notices as you search in vain for the last paper tissue in your handbag, which when found decides to leave remnant particles of itself stuck on your clammy face, exposing your distress to all. Oh, then there are many, many tales of menopause that I'm sure many of us can have and can tell, as well as depression, difficulties with anger, fatigue, and becoming overwhelmed and uncomfortable with your own body. And as also mentioned before, for menopause, it can be a time when previous trauma or childhood starts to come to the fore. Now, depression isn't clinically related to menopause. It's not something that, you can say is a menopausal symptom, but if you've had depression before or you're more susceptible to depression, when menopause approaches, then for some women, it comes back. So woe is menopause, or is it? Let's pause there. The interpretation Kandeki before told us that pause part of menopause means to stop. So let's just stop there and let's think. So I'm going to share with you how psychotherapy and counseling can help. So when a woman experiences menopausal symptoms, which you start to find uncomfortable and difficult, and you really can't cope, it's important that you see your GP so that he or she can investigate this and address it from a physical and medical perspective. But also important is that you also address what's going on from an emotional and mental health perspective. And as again, it's been said that how you feel about it, how you think about menopause is going to affect you. Psychotherapy is about talking, is about finding a therapist that suits you, that you feel confident with, that will give you the space. A psychotherapist will listen and understand, or try to understand, what is going on for that woman, and will help you explore your issues that you're struggling with. And then this will help you to reframe your view of what's going on in your life. It will help you to get more space and relief around the issues and give you different options to explore, you know, the way forward. Psychotherapy can also help you find more resources within yourself, because a lot of the time we're looking all over the place and it's actually within ourselves. But importantly as well, I recommend that all women find some support group of others who are going through the same thing, so that you can share. Because it is actually sometimes hard to distinguish what affects the physical and what is psychological. And if you're feeling uncomfortable about yourself, then that's when you're just going to go all over the place. Psychotherapy can help you have a more perspective around the impact of menopause on your life. Because yes, we're going to go through immense changes, both physically, emotionally, and physically, emotionally, and spiritually. And no matter how hard you try and resist menopause, you can't stop it. With menopause, it's not a case of fight or flight. It is a case, though, of coming to terms with the changes that's happening within your body, being more accepting, find a sense of calmness, and view menopause as a journey into another chapter of your life, a new chapter that can bring greater personal freedom and rewards in its own way. Menopause is a natural process. We become older, wiser, more rooted, and the inward at the moment is more awoken. And I'm just going to quickly share another slide now. So, pause. So due to the pandemic, we have all been forced to pause. Every single one of us have been made to stop and think. So I set up Pause and Get Over It as a menopausal support group about 4 months ago. And that came to, I think it was one of the other ladies, Carol, saying she's coming up with lots of ideas and, you know, what should you do? Well, that happened 4 months ago. And it happened after a week when 4 of my clients, 4, more or less, one after the other, outpoured their angst that they had no one to talk to about what they were going through. They voiced feeling ashamed and embarrassed. And 2 of them whispered quietly about the painful and itchy dryness down there. Now, our mothers, grandmothers, and great-grandmothers suffered their hot flushes in silence, but we don't have to. So Pause and Get Over It recognizes that the more women openly discuss their menopausal issues, the more barriers will come down. Menopause is very normal. You are normal. Menopause isn't a disease. It's not an unfortunate thing that's happening to you. It's a woman's rite of passage, and it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be depressing, and it's not going to destroy your femininity. I will say again, how you perceive menopause will determine your outcome, or the menopause of your outcome. If you are negative, complaining about it all the time, then you will become depressed. Because again, as said, our bodies and minds, they interact, and your bodies will start reflecting the toxicity that you're thinking about. But if you decide to take the high road and embrace menopause, there's nothing wrong with saying, you know, if I was doing a presentation once and I could actually feel it coming from inside upwards, outwards. And I said to you know, the participants, I'm menopausal, I'm going to open the window, just, you know, ignore me as such. And it was okay. So talk about it. So if you decide to take the high road and embrace menopause, you will understand that instead of crying and complaining, you want to laugh, you want to smile, and you want to embrace the good and throw out the bad. The choice is yours, but there is hope. Details about my psychotherapy practice and how to join the pause support group will be placed in the chat box or take a shot of it. And if you're brave enough, again, just the final slide as I close. Yeah, there we go. If you're brave enough to join a group of menopausal women walking, laughing, processing and exploring in the Sussex countryside, contact me for details of the Pause Weekend retreat, which will take place, hopefully, the 26th to the 28th of February 2021. So just to end, no vaccine is needed to protect us from menopause. What we do need is to protect our minds and our attitude about our menopausal transition. And it is a transition. We're transitioning into another chapter of our lives. So thank you, Queens. I hope that was light and not too deep about psychotherapy. And again, thank you, Joan, and all the other presenters for sharing this platform with such valuable information, because the fact that we've got so many women from all over London and all over the world is just indicative. Menopause, it will happen to us all. So thank you.
Oh, that was just absolutely beautiful, Marlene. And I feel so humble. It's just so deep where you've taken us to, the actual sort of like, you know, psychological side behind the whole thing. I'm lost for words. I'm absolutely in awe. So do you find ladies that join the group, you know, what the sort of age ranges, what their backgrounds?
They're very, very varied, because just as menopause is varied and the backgrounds are different, because it doesn't matter what your background is, you're going to go through menopause, and it is, again, it's how you see menopause. Yeah. You know, if you see it as, oh, I'm getting older, you know, I'm no longer desirable and the rest of it, then again, you know, the outcome is going to be very different from myself. From myself, I read up about it. I come from a strong, you know, lots of strong women in my family. So I read up about menopause and I was prepared for it. And there were times when I spoke to my hot flushes and I said to them, not today, love. You know, so again, I was very, very strong. You know, I put it in its place when I needed to put it in its place. When it wouldn't obey, I shared and I would say, yeah, I'm having a hot flush. I may not look it, but yeah, I'm menopausal. So I was very light-hearted about it. I wasn't going to let it beat me, because that's just it. If you let it beat you, it will. It really will beat you. Yeah. Because the mind, as we know, is very powerful. So we will feed our bodies, eat healthily, you know, but if our mind isn't healthy, the key thing is your mind. Your mind will influence everything. Yeah. So it is about talking, sharing, talk with your sisters. You know, at one stage, my husband thought I was going mad. I should actually add, which maybe should be another discussion, men go through menopause, but theirs is very different to ours. So we were just a household of menopausal people. You know, he was in one room, I was in the other room. And then the children, you know, there was one time my son, you know, he took a bit longer than usual making a cup of tea for me, and I wanted to kill him. And then I realized, oh God, it's menopause, you know. Yeah. So yes, so long as you know and you recognize these symptoms, you recognize why you're getting angry, you recognize why you're throwing things around, or you're crying out, you know, bursting out into tears, you know, over silly little things. It's the menopause, you know, but just go with the flow, it's okay.
And hence why, you know, when I was thinking about, because I'm turning these kind of like Zoom gatherings around so quickly. So Sunday evening when I saw like coming down from, you know, Queen's Black Girl Rocks, I thought, menopause. And I just started to think about all my different friends. And I mean, admittedly, some friends, I can't really talk to them now because they're completely off the spectrum, you know, menopausal wise. You know, it's like they're rich, they're snappy, they're, you know, they're angry. They're just, all this stuff is going on and I can't really be around a lot of negative stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of get it. And I just knew there were pockets of women scattered at, you know, 2 here, 3 here, talking about menopause. And I thought, you know, we need to have a conversation.
Yeah.
People need the knowledge, you know. So far, you know, between yourself and Abby and Kendaki, you know, there are so many different options out there, but it's about, like you say, it's about recognizing it and thinking, I'm going to deal with this. I'm going to take charge. It is not ruling me.
Exactly.
Yes, I'm going to rule it. Yeah. And that's what it's about. Yeah. And I like when you say, you know, hot flush. Not today.
Not today, no. And sometimes, put your high heels away. You know, don't force yourself to do things if it's not the day.
Yeah.
You know, yes, we still remain very sexy, you know, but there's days when we're going to wear those big panties. And so what about it? You know, that's how it is.
Just go with the flow. My darling, you were absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ladies, I hope you're taking notes, you know, posting your questions in the chat, and there will be an opportunity when we get to the Q&A. You put your hand up, you say who you are, you know, I can undo it in my participants button and ask a question. So don't worry, I know you're all bursting to ask questions. There will be an opportunity at the end. Yeah. So thank you once again, Marlene. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, Zora, Queen Zora, are you in the house, my darling? I think she's on mute. Zora?
Mute myself. Hi, good morning, everybody. I've just unmuted myself. I have to say, thank you very much, Joan, for inviting me. I'm in awe of all my sister presenters this morning. I have to say what I'm going to talk about is probably much more fluffy in terms of content, but
not really. I mean, there are so many different, you know, perspectives, and what I really like about this, you know, and I've said it in my other Zoom presentations, you know, this is an event where it's for us and it's by us, and we have got 5 powerful, magnificent Black women on this platform talking to us about menopause. Because to me, I think everyone goes through menopause as a woman, but I think for us it might be slightly different. You know, so that's my kind of like feeling, interpretation about the whole thing. So whether, like, you know, maybe as Black women we're just kind of like sweating more, or our kind of like hormones are off the spectrum, we're not getting the vitamin D. I think there's quite a lot of components, and it's so good just to focus in on us and try and unpick it and get some answers. So it's not fluffy. There's lots of different ways of looking at it. And, you know, people can, in a way, take what they want. You know, one thing might help somebody and something else might help another. So I'm really, really excited to hear, you know, what you're going to be sharing with us this morning.
Okay.
What I will quickly ask you though, but from your experience and from your perspective, what are sort of like the really, because I mean, Kendaki said there was like 34, but what would you say like the really common symptoms when it comes to PMS and menopause?
I would say personally, from the women that I've seen in clinic, close friends and just listening to everybody, I think it's a confidence. It's just like not really understanding this new person that has come on board, and it's just like, well, I used to be, it's almost like going through grief. There's a part of you that you feel is missing, so you're in this new space, in a space that you don't actually understand, and it's really confusing, and it's almost like you've lost your younger, vibrant, outgoing self, and you've adopted this new doubtful persona that's lost its confidence, it's lost its mojo, and it's taking you to a place that you really are very unfamiliar with. And that is really almost like a sense of loss. And it's coming to terms with it.
It's interesting you say that, because I find that as I've got older, I'm more confident. And I think...
Yeah, but the majority of women, it's not that.
I want to say. Okay.
Well, you're sassy, Joan. What can I say? Anyway, my take is my course that I've developed is from an image management perspective and an empowerment perspective. If you just allow me, I will just bring up my slides. Oops. Let's go back to, sorry folks. Okay, can you all see that? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can see it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can all.
All right, okay. So I'll tell you a little bit about me before I go on to what I'm going to talk about in terms of my course. My background is as, I currently work as a clinical practitioner and educator, but the road that's taken me to this part of my menopausal journey has been quite a long one. I started off in nursing, and I've done various things over the years alongside that, because I've actually found that my clinical career wasn't satisfying in the early days. And because I've had lots of other interests around colour and design and style, back in 2006, I went off and did a course on image management and brand management. And the reason why I did that is my original degree that I did was in business and marketing. And I knew about the power of your personal brand, something that a lot of people don't really know about, and how it can influence people around you and the things that you do in your life. So my take on the menopause is really around how you can use your image and colour in order to turn your life around and get your mojo back, like Joan has already just explained. Now, back then in 2006, or certainly 2000 when I did my degree, no one was talking about personal brand. No one was talking about colour and the impact of what you wear and how you wear it and how it can influence the audience around you. And for me, that was a missing link. Certainly when I started my experience of the menopause. And I realised that when I put something on that made me feel good, when I went to the salon and had my hair done, I could take the world on. I felt so empowered, and I felt as if, you know, I could take anything on and do almost anything. And I think that's quite a lot of what we need as menopausal women. We do need to be able to get to a point where we feel like we did, very much like what Joan has said, like we did when we were teenagers, and it's really important to get that back in our lives. So when lockdown came, I've been wanting to do various things for a long time, and it was a matter of no time. Life takes over. You got to be here, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing that. I should actually say that picture is me. Believe it or not, me with a hairpiece. My revolution came a couple of months ago when I just couldn't be doing with wearing hair pieces and wigs and getting my hair dyed anymore. I just about had enough. And I decided that I had to accept myself as I was and accept the greys for what they were, to embrace them and to live my authentic life. So in 2000 and earlier on this year, when lockdown came, I thought it was a brilliant opportunity for me to do what I really wanted to do. And what I conjured up was a course called Look Divine, Feel Divine. And it's for women of all races, all colours, and everybody that is experiencing the anxiety that we're all going through. It's essentially a health and wellness course. It's around the health and wellness model. My experience as a health educator back in 1995, I trained as a sexual health practitioner and family planning nurse. I've worked in the community as a community nurse. I've done consultancy for 8 years within the NHS. And most recently, the last 3 years, I've been teaching. So I used all of my skills from all the areas that I've sort of had my occupational career in, and I designed Look Divine, Feel Divine. What I'd like to ask many of the ladies on the call is, are they aware of the power and the influence of colour, especially colour that matches their skin tone and colour? That'd be great if you could put your responses in the chat room. And the reason why I ask that is that quite often when we put something on that really complements us in the way that we look and what we wear, invariably someone will say something that is a huge compliment that will boost us. And that level of compliment on a down day when you're feeling weary with all the hot sweats, all the brain fog and all the other symptoms that we experience can really do a great deal or go a long way to boost our confidence. And the other reason why I ask you that question is that, were you aware of the influence of what you were wearing on your key audience? So what I wanted to do, sorry, this is whizzing around the place, is just to quickly go through what my course involves. It's 6 modules over 30 days. What I call it's a 6-step process over 30 days to regain the former you that you felt that you had lost. And so let me quickly take you through module 1 very quickly. In this module, we look at how your negative body image may be impacting on your life. I take you through some self-assessments as to what you can do in order to ignite change. I look at how you can boost your self-esteem, and I take you through some personal goal setting exercises using a goal setting workshop, workbook. So those are some of the templates. In module 2, we look more deeply at some of what the other ladies have been talking about in terms of the menopausal timeline, some of the principles around HRT. I talk in depth about the issues around estrogen and what it does to your body, why it is that women actually gain weight, some of the herbal options that have been discussed before, some options that they can use in terms of cooling down some of the symptoms. I've developed a food and exercise diary that women can use in order to keep track of changing their food and exercise lifestyles. And I've even developed some questions that they can take to their GP in order to make sure that they don't miss some pertinent questions. In module 3 and 4, this is really what I wanted to talk to you all about today. And here I use the science behind colour and how it influences the environment that we're in. I take women through how various colour, groups of colour that we normally image consultants talk about in terms of winter, spring, summer and autumn, and how you can identify what season that you sit in and how you can adapt your wardrobe to your current lifestyle. I also talk about personal image, and the branding around what you're trying to project. For those of you that really are still in the workplace, and feel that you've got some of a career left. Then we look at the power of psychology in terms of colour, skin tone, and I've already mentioned about autumn, winter and spring. Now, when I talk about the power of colour, I'll tell you, I'll just share with you one episode that I had. For many years, I worked as a project manager and operations manager in the private healthcare sector. And one of the directors came up to me one day and said that she felt that my staff were intimidated by me and that I wasn't particularly approachable, which I found very offensive. When I stood back and actually examined what she was saying, I mean, whilst it was a microaggressive approach, I took on board what she said, and using the tools that I'd learned in the past, I looked at my wardrobe and realised I had nothing but navy, grey and black suits in my wardrobe. I decided to go and purchase a pink jacket, soft pink jacket, and wore that in the next day. And in fact, it formed part of my core wardrobe. And I can assure you the turnaround in the approach of my staff in terms of how they interacted with me was formidable. It was really, really, really very, very distinctive, so much so that I couldn't get staff out of my office in order to do my work. And that is just one illustration of how the power of colour can influence how we look at life and how we feel about ourselves. And so I don't know what the feeling is from women on the call, whether or not they've got any thoughts about that. That would be interesting. Now, we all have something called a wardrobe personality, and we tend to fall in one of these five groups, sorry. If you are a gamine, a romantic, a natural, classic or a dramatic sort of person, it will say a lot about how you would like to dress and how you see yourself. Naturally, most of us tend to form a personality that we develop over the years, and quite often that is also shown in where you go and the types of things that you like to wear. It often says a lot about us in terms of how we consider ourselves as menopausal women, and I use the wardrobe personality as a means of streamlining our new wardrobe and eliminating items in the wardrobe that we might no longer need or use. I think you get to a stage in life where we're not going out and about. I know, Joan, you talked about partying still. Many of us aren't really interested in that. And so our wardrobe tends to change from what we were as younger women into what we now see ourselves, where we see ourselves as menopausal women. Also in this module, I talk about balance and proportion, tips for the more fuller figure, because we often put on weight around our middle. I talk about tips for the shorter women, and I give some self-assessment tips around our body shapes. Most of us tend to fall into pear shape, skittle shape, apple shape, hourglass or brick. And I talk more in detail about that. And I talk also about the grey hair debate, and I try and ignite a healthy debate as to, you know, some of the hang-ups that some of us have around hair. My course is called Look Divine, Feel Divine, and I will put more details of it in the chat room for anyone who's interested. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very, very, very much, Zora. And Zora, are you keeping it a secret, my darling, about this competition?
Oh, yes. Right. Thank you for reminding me.
Come on there, Queen.
Right. Okay. I have got 5 free places that I would like to offer to anyone on the call today. Now, it has been spoken about by the previous callers, but panelists rather, but I do believe the young lady who spoke before me mentioned the formal period of time that elapses between when you are perimenopausal and have transitioned into the menopausal stage. What is that formal period of time? If you could put the details in the chat, that would be great. And the first ones that approach me with the correct response, I will be willing to give you a free place. Oh, I can't hear. Joan.
Sorry, my darling. So just to be clear now, so they just need to answer. And what was the question again?
Right. Women transition from the perimenopausal phase into the menopause, and there is a period of time that is formally recognised as you being a woman being menopausal. What is that period of time? If they could put the details in the chat. So the first that contact me personally, I'll offer them a free place on the course, which is worth £50.
Okay, Zora, are you asking them to privately message you? Because
yes,
put it into the chat.
Or they can put it in the chat. They can put it in the chat, or they can privately message me.
So what's happened is that I've already got who was the first one to put that answer in.
Wow, already?
Yes, I'm afraid it's really quick. So it hasn't gone directly to you, but if I had
that's fine.
The first free
can we cut this bit? If we can put everything into the chat, so we can.
Yeah, that'll be perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, fantastic.
That'd be lovely. So thank you.
Right if I write down the first names.
Presentation. Thank you very, very much. So we've got Carol now. The last one, Carol, but I know you're just going to blow us out the water. Are you there, Carol? Carol?
Hold on.
Oh, you are there. Oh, you got me worried then.
Yeah, no pressure, Ghani, no pressure.
No pressure. And you're looking so glamorous and beautiful this morning.
Thank you. You can do that with the top half at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? Don't worry about the bottom half though, right? Okay, we're good.
You're good? You're good to roll?
We're good. Yes, we're good to go.
So welcome, Carol, and we're so looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you.
Going to centre around, let me get it right, midlife, menopause and reinvention.
That's right, yes.
And it's so important for queens to recognise that, okay, this is all happening, but you can still rock it. You can reinvent yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've got some ladies in my walking group, and when they tell that they're 60, you're thinking, wow, yeah. But it's about, like you said, accepting yourself, and it's the way in which you manage yourself. And it comes back down to, and I can't say it enough, diet, sleep, water, greens. It's very much a holistic approach. Yeah, so we've got some 60-year-olds that look like they're, my goodness, in their 40s.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely wonderful. Yeah. And queens on the platform, don't think to yourself, oh, I can't do it. It's a step-by-step process. You set yourself goals and targets, and you do one thing, achievable goals, mind you, and then you do something else. So if it means you want to get yourself more active, go for that little walk around the block, 10 minutes, extend it by another 5 minutes, and just keep doing it. You'll be amazed. We've got people in the group, and I'm telling you, the weight has shed and they've come in. So that's enough of me anyway. I'm an exercise guru anyway. So
you are.
I'm always talking about exercise. It's key, it's core. But let's hear more about, I want to hear about the reinvention.
Okay. Well, it's hard to come last because so many good things have been said. And I just want to say, thank you so much to the other speakers. Really powerful stuff. And the last thing was about the pink jacket. That I just thought, oh my gosh. I mean, all the advice that I've been giving people, and I've never, because I do coaching, consultancy, and all the rest of it over the years, and development's my thing, whether it's organizational people. And to think, the clothes you wear, is having such a difference. I mean, my goodness, the amount of us that have been having that difficult conversation in our organizations, the corporate sector, and you think we could have dressed differently. I mean, I had a similar thing to you, Zora, but it was about the fact that I was dressing too good. So I was in my 30s and I was leading a training development center at very early 30s. And I'd come from the corporate, I'd been running my own consultancy before that. So it was the jackets, it was the fitted outfits, it was the, you know, suits and whatever's worth, you know, a few £100s. And I was meeting senior white managers, female managers who were in the picky cardigan and the kind of the jugga, as I call it, clothes. And they were not happy. They were not happy. But who knew? Maybe if I wore a pink jacket, it'd been okay. Anyway, it's really good. It's really good. It's very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, let me try and see if I can share my screen now and move into the presentation overall and see how we go. Right, now where are we? Okay, right, so let me move into the proper slideshow view. Come on. Okay, it's not quite doing it. Okay, let's move to the beginning. Sorry, folks. All right, so you've seen all my presentation now. Okay, so we're talking about midlife, menopause, and reinvention. And I just wanted to say basically how I actually got into this, first of all. So a bit about me. I'm a mother of, I'm 56 years old, mother of 2 children, Jamaican heritage, the eldest siblings of 7. So I'm kind of used to being the boss in many situations. And I'd say my superpowers, because I love the idea of superpowers, because we got them. My superpowers are actually collecting concepts, synthesizing them, and expressing them back to other people for mutual exploration and actually unearthing greater insights and I think co-creativity. Because I think as we share concepts, it's not just an intellectual exercise, we become change, we are changed people, and I get very excited about that. My go-to position is transformation and social justice. A professional background I've mentioned before is in development, so it's organizational development, people development, families, and communities. And I seriously got into the area in only 2016, when I went to my GP, and I was full of aches and pains. I was tired. Seriously tired. In fact, I had an auntie visit us from Jamaica and I had to take the bunk bed and I had to climb up the stairs and I could not believe it, the bunk bed ladder as it were. I could not believe how hard it was to heave myself up that ladder and to pop myself over onto the bed. And I just thought, this is seriously bad. So I went to the doctor, had all my blood tests taken. And he said, well, you're absolutely fine. I said, well, why am I aching? Why do I hurt so much? And he said, oh, Miss Litchmore, you're a hypochondriac. Now, bearing in mind, I've had this doctor for 30 years. All of a sudden now, I'm a hypochondriac. And so that was my journey. I began to read and began to research. And I realized actually this menopausal period of time, and I realized it was menopause, is one of the most interesting periods of time. And I hadn't actually clocked menopause or thinking about it before. And so I began to kind of, I went through a diet change, and I'm pleased to say I went from level 8 in terms of aches and tiredness down to level 2 or 3, just in the space of about 2 or 3 weeks, just through my diet change. But that was just the superficial bit. It was the other stuff that I was learning. So I kind of want to share some of this with you briefly this morning. So ladies, how have you heard midlife and menopause described? It'd be really nice to kind of just throw that into the chat. And I know that we've inferred it through all the different speakers and so forth, but it's just really worthwhile thinking about, what's the phrase that comes to mind when you think about menopause, when you think about this time? And hopefully I can pick up some of those later on as well. But, often we talk about it being the change. It's the change. And there's kind of 3 ways that I find that we tend to talk about it. We tend to talk about it in terms of the miserable side of things. You feel miserable. You're going through the changes like, oh my gosh, it's a just constant war with your body. Something to be fought with, something to be overcome, something to be managed. So there's a kind of the kind of miserable, emotional sense we have it. having. Then the other side of it is the kind of mystical side of things, where we kind of think, oh, there's something actually going on in my body, and I actually need to kind of like get in touch with it, but I'm not quite sure what it is. So it's something over there, and that's the bit that I like. And then there's a kind of just a practical thing, you know, what do I take? Do I take Don Quai? Do I take frankincense, which is actually a new thing for me? Do I take, you know, the kind of phytoestrogens, the very practical things that we tend to have to think about, you know. So those are three ways that we can think about menopause. I'm sure you've got different ways that you describe it. But, oh, how did that jump? Okay, so if we look at this here, what could midlife mean to us? For example, strong, courageous, active, vibrant, creative, talented, determined, connected, life-affirming, confident. How do these words sound to your ears? They actually sound really good. I mean, they feel good just to say it, actually, this morning for me. So why don't we hear those words more often when we refer to midlife? And could these words be true for you? So I'm going to give you a minute, folks, to look through these words here, and literally I'm going to do it with you. Go through each word. I want you to score yourself on a rate from 0 to 5, 5 being the strongest. You know, how much, you know, where am I on that scale? So I'm going to give you a minute to literally write those words down and write the score, because I'm going to ask you to add it up. So pens and paper hopefully are going to come into handy now. So, and I'm going to tell you my score as well. I'm going to give you a minute, so we'll be in silence for a bit, that's fine, and see what we get. And you can do 0.5, so I'm doing a 0.5 already. Oh, it's jumped again.
Where's lasers coming on? Where's lasers coming on?
Let's see what else is on.
Okay, coming down, folks. Ooh, okay. Let's add up our scores then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 elements. Can you add up that fast, folks? Okay, I know what my score is, right? Okay, that's the first time I've actually done it for myself as well. Okay, now, hopefully you've added up your scores, and if you have scored 45, I think we should be modeling our life on your thinking and your approach, because 45 is the top score. So if anybody has scored 45, could you put it in the chat? Or if you feel a bit embarrassed because life is so good, please email or text Joan and let her know. Okay. Now, if you're like the rest of us, if you scored 25, well, actually that tells you, okay, life is not bad at all, but let's kick it up a gear or two. A score of 9 and under tells you, okay, let's roll up our big girl knickers and get to doing something serious. And if you got between 9 and 25, it's just probably just plain irritating. It's not as heavy duty lifting as others, but it can actually keep you under the radar even to yourself. But now, folks, you have a goal to work towards. So if you're 45, you're good. But anything under 45, we have a goal now, because we want to take all of our levels to 5, don't we? And more, and more. Okay, so now we have a goal to work with. I love this poem. I want to share this poem with you, and I often read it to groups, and it kind of just sets a flavour. It gives you a bit more flesh about the possibilities. It says, when I'm old, I shall wear purple with a red hat, which doesn't go and doesn't suit me. And I shall spend my pension on brandy and summer gloves and satin sandals, and think, with no money for butter, I shall sit down the pavement when I'm tired and gobble up samples in shops and press alarm bells and run my stick along the public railings and make up for the sobriety of my youth. I shall go out in my slippers in the rain and pick flowers in other people's gardens and learn to spit. You can wear terrible shirts and grow more fat and eat 3 pounds of sausages at one go, or only bread and pickle for a week, and hold pens and pencils and beer mats and things in boxes. But now, we must have clothes that keep us dry and pay our rent and not swear in the street and set good examples for the children. We must have friends to dinner and read the papers. But maybe I ought to practice a little now. So people who know me are not too shocked or surprised when suddenly I'm old and start to wear purple. So ladies, welcome to your purple years. And even though that poem is dated, I love it. And I'm wearing black today, I was conscious of that. But welcome to our purple years. It's the sentiment that I love. And even though it's it's a poem from 1961, and even though it's very English, we're still very English, even those of us who were born in this country, but it's the whole sentiment. I love it. I love it. I love it. Welcome to our purple years. So whatever resonated with you from that poem, take it. Whether it's about spitting, whether it's gobbling up 3 pounds of sausages in one go, whether it's going out in your slippers in the rain, hey, whatever. Just a bit of stats. Women over 50 are becoming a bigger part of the population. So over 35% of the UK population is 50 and over, according to a 2014 report. The meaning of age is changing. So whereas before, we were looking to 40, we're now saying 50 is a new 40, maybe 60 is a new 50, or whatever it means is changing. So you know how you see your mum's friend on the street, you haven't seen her for years, but she looks the same. She looks the same because we always thought she was older, but also older people, the older generation kind of looked older from young, and so they just maintained that old look. But now we want to be the hot chick, and I'm not advocating a hot chick, but we kind of understanding that there's different ways that we can present ourselves as midlife women. So we don't have the types that our parents occupied are very different types to what we have now. And so we're still making our way. We're still trying to find our way, which is what this is about. This is what the reinvention is about. But it's kind of interesting. There's a lovely WhatsApp group that I'm on, not WhatsApp, it's an Instagram called Fly Ageless. And we get some lovely pictures of people who are really stepping out in their style, really kind of going for it. And I gave the example before when I was, we were just talking before we started about me and my grey hair journey. And my hair's been greying for a while. I want to say, I kind of probably in the last sort of 5 or 6 years, kind of you're growing. So what was happening is you know the usual thing, you're dyeing the hair and then the hairline's coming through. And then you put a bit of colour and the hairline's coming through. Oh, for goodness sake. And so then you kind of let it go for a bit. And then I remember people at church saying to me, as in, you're letting your hair grow through. Oh, you're very brave. You're very brave. And I just thought, well, I'm going to do my thing. Because you knew people were disapproving. They were really very disapproving, some people. They thought, how are you doing that? How are you letting your hair grow through? Have you got any self-respect, lady? It's almost like that. And then what happened is that, so I was dyeing it for a while. And then my daughter relaxed it for me one day. And it stripped out all of the colour, all the colour out of my hair. And I just thought, you know what? That's it. I'm done. And then ever since then, I kid you not, it's very interesting. People will stop me on the street, young, old, male, female, black, white, and go, oh, I love your hair. I love your hair. And I'm even on the street, a couple of people say, I love your hair. And I keep thinking, wow, what if I didn't know before and I'd done it before, If I knew, I'd have done it before. And so that's part of my journey in terms of forming my own identity around that. And I still don't think I dress the hair properly. I wear the red lipstick to kind of go with it. But we all have our own story about our identity and how we present ourselves. So the meaning of age is changing. Okay, I said all of that. I wasn't planning to say any of that. I was going to stick straight to the script, but let's move on. Okay. An 80-year-old can be functionally younger than her 50-year-old daughter. And I like a testament to that. Like I said before, I felt like 80 literally when I was just, I think it was 52 at the time. And I've said it's a continuum. We've got an age's ability to get what we want from life. We do have potential for endless energy. Now, advertisers, they make a big mistake. You know, like in Pretty Woman, mistake, big mistake. Because it's over 50s who are buying. We're buying the designer shoes, we're buying the handbags, we're buying the holiday gear, the club membership. It's not about stair lifts necessarily, incontinence pads and lift assist cushions. Although if we have to buy them, let's buy them. But it's not one or the other. You can rock your handbag, you can be standing there presenting it as a corporate CEO or your own company, and you could be buying your lift assist cushions. All of it. And so we need to rethink what it means. Old age means passion, new purpose, eating well, it means exercise, it means activity, it means great things. But listen, how do we get here? Well, we're in our purple years, and this diagram shows that what happens to us from the ages of 0 to 100. And there's so much happening to us and wisdom available to us. So at age 0 to 12 years old, our main job is formation. And in terms of our wisdom, we have access to our intuitive and our spiritual wisdom. Then at ages 12 to 50, which is the ages we're talking about in particular, or just coming through, we're about nurturing and harmony. We're fertile and we incubate children, we incubate projects, we incubate ideas. And with it comes the wisdom to conceive an idea and life and allow it to be born. So it's not just about children, it's a whole process of birthing things. But we have an inward focus, although we're also very conscious of the other, because it's about harmony, about connecting with other people. Now, at 50 onwards, things change and we become more self and outward focused, which is interesting because the men that are going through the menopause, their testosterone levels are going down and they're becoming more inward focused. So you're busy wanting to go out and make things happen, and they're busy to want to come in and put on their slippers, or for some people anyway. You can find that kind of mismatch. So our wisdom now is shifting, and once again, we've got the capacity to be constantly open to our intuitive and our spiritual knowing. And what's fascinating about this is that it's physiologically driven, it's biologically driven. It's a process that God has put into the body to reflect the stages of our wisdom and our purpose in life. And this is the stage that I get so excited about, because I get excited about the changes that's going on in our hearts, in our minds, and in our spirit. And of course, with this physiological change, there are changes in the wiring to our brain. So left brain is logical, sequential, rational, analytical, objective. It deals in parts, whereas the right brain is about the random, the intuitive, the holistic, the synthesizing. It's about the subjectives, and it looks at the wholes. So when we synthesize, for example, we actually pull together information from different sources, and we're able to see the connections between things. Whereas when we're holistic as well, we see that parts of some things are intimately interconnected and understood when you look at the whole. Whereas, for example, an intuitive person uses their intuition. They generally have a feel for something. They know something without knowing. They just know it. And you know that spirit about, my spirit doesn't take to them. That it's coming from that place. And we say that phrase, but that's it's a really interesting thing, because I just think, oh, so this is the gift now? This is the gift of my right brain kicking in my 50s? So looking at intuition a little bit more often, a little bit more closely, it's kind of, there is some kind of physiological roots in it. I mean, it's been suggested that the size of the corpus callosum, which is like a connecting bit between two sides of the brains, some researchers believe that women's brain has that larger connection than men's between the right brain and the left brain. And so that accounts, they believe, why some women are more intuitive than men. And then another perspective is that Jung, the psychologist Jung, his definition of intuition is perception via by the unconscious. But I think when Jung was talking about the unconscious, I think he was talking about the spiritual side of things, you know, because Jung talks about the collective unconscious and so forth. But I think that's just a euphemism for your spiritual side of things, as well as, I mean, I think there's probably both. I have this theory that you have your unconscious and your spirit side connect together. But anyway, that's the kind of that's kind of thinking about how that works, your intuition and your unconscious. So our purple years is when our superpowers kick in, basically. So, for example, you know, where if you think about the brain a bit more, the right brain is the more visual side and it recognizes faces. It may therefore be that part of your brain that detects minute changes in facial expression or body language, which you're not consciously or verbally aware, may be highly significant indicators of other people's true feelings. So your right brain is just kind of firing more. You're seeing these things, you're like a machine picking it up, and you're picking up stuff you're not even realizing, because the right brain operates more in symbols and pictures. It doesn't necessarily kind of process words. So that's when you think you know things without knowing things, as well as the unconscious stuff is going on. And then, of course, the right brain also handles your imagination, the big picture. So when you have those vivid dreams, rich in symbols, whether it's something chasing you, whether you're standing and you're wonderful on top of the world, it's basically your right brain creating imagery for you. It's problem solving. And so that, you know, when you suddenly solve a problem, it's your right brain that might be communicating to you that particular problem. And it's a side of you that connects your emotions. So that's when you get the gut feeling. So there's so much things about what's going on in the brain that you think, wow, this is really good stuff. And specific about the brain changes, estrogen is a key element in brain function. And so I love the phytoestrogens that we've talked about in terms of optimizing that. But also, we need to recognize that in the years leading up to and post-menopause, we become testosterone dominant. So our outlook and our attitude changes. That's where we kind of become more outward focused. This is why we get the hairs we have to be plucking from the chin and things like that we're seeing. And our brain starts to send different messages, which actually pushes us outside the home, as I said before. So we're rediscovering the best in ourselves. So the question we're always asking yourself, I'm sure lots of us are asking ourselves, how can I find that more meaning to my life? How do I want my life to be now? So for some of us who've struggled in the world of work, wherever you are, but if you've been in any form of leadership role and knowing a lot of the qualities that people have in this group, I know a lot of us have been in leadership roles, informal or formal leadership roles. We'd have been what I call gut punching. We'd have been fighting. We'd have been like, you know, trying to be visible, trying to be heard, trying to be respected, trying to be honored, coping with the microaggressions. We'd have making a way through. And then we come to the age of about in our 40s and we think, oh no, hell no. Enough. I am good enough. I am more than enough. Do you know how good I am? Do you know what I'm doing in my life? Do you know what I'm achieving in my life? And you're trying to girl me rather than, like the men say, boy me? Not anymore. I'm not having this. And what even more surprising for me is that, you know, because I do a lot of developmental work, I'll go to lots of women's workshops and I will see, and I have to say as it is, I see a lot of white women trying to be spontaneous, trying to be free, trying to be more social, trying to be more present, trying to be more spiritual, trying to be more emotional, trying to be more social, everything that I am and that I was from my 20s as a Black woman of African heritage, which I was denied. I was busy there trying to fit into the corporate box, but a very white Eurocentric model of being a female, trying to kind of speak a particular way, be the best in the room. You know, I had to be kind of incredibly intelligent, incredibly forthright, incredibly trying so hard. And then you realize, hold on a minute, they're getting the course to be like me? I have my daughter, she's a clinical psychologist, and she says to me, Mum, you don't understand. They're trying to break the code. They're trying to break the code and get into a certain way of being. She said, Mum, what they don't realize is the code is us. And so we get to our 40s and we realize, no more, I'm off. So basically, there's a time for us to begin to think about our change. Time to check in at this stage with our bodies and to understand something first and foremost. When the hormones leave, you are left. So the hormones are a bit like a wonderful padding over us in our ages of 12 to 50. They're like an orchestra of beautiful hormones, serotonin, all the wonderful feel-good hormones we have washing over us. Otherwise, we'd kill our children. We would not be harmonious. We would not be the kind of the peacemaker. We needed those hormones so that we could have the children, so we could facilitate our families, our friends. Come 50, for most people, they start moving away. They go, gone now. You don't need us as much anymore, lady. You're okay. You're on your own, honey pie. So then what happens is then that whatever we weren't resolving before, whatever we wasn't dealing with before, we have to deal with now. So I would argue that there are physiological differences between everybody, but I would argue, along with the other speakers, that a lot of what we're struggling with is emotionally driven, as we said before, the things that we haven't dealt with when we're younger. But what's really hard is we know ourselves as very capable, as very competent, as very strong, as very calm, and whatever adjectives that you use to describe, we've worked that, we've earned that sense of ourselves. And so the notion of thinking that we're fragile or that we need to be taken care of or think about ourselves is really hard. The notion of sitting back and thinking, okay, I'm going to think about me now. I'm going to think about what I need to cook, what I need to put into my body, what I need to wear, what I need to do. That it can be really hard, especially if you think it's coming from a place of being fragile. So if you're thinking, oh yeah, I'm foxy, I've got it all going on, yeah, that's kind of cool. But we're thinking, oh, hold on a minute, I'm feeling a bit anxious here. I don't feel as safe as I used to feel. I don't feel as comfortable. I'm just feeling a bit miserable. You know, I'm constantly miserable. That's a harder place from which to then think about, okay, I need to check myself. I need to look at myself. I need to be compassionate to myself. So if we're having residues of anger, it's stuff potentially we've suppressed in the past. But, you know, anger is an opportunity to take charge. It is an opportunity to make some changes in our life. And depression doesn't have to be considered a kind of physiological thing. It can definitely be an indicator that we're not happy with what's going on with our life. And okay, it makes sense, doesn't it, really? But it just gives ourselves permission to say, you know what, if I feel kind of flat, it's telling me I'm not happy. There's a gap between where I think I ought to be and where I am now. And that's information. That is information. So therefore, we've got life skill opportunities. There's resources we've got around us. There's resources shared in this presentation here around what we can actually be doing with ourselves. I just realised I'm just allowed to indulge myself in terms of freestyling. Let me try and go back to the presentation. So I could end here. Sorry?
I was going to ask you, have you got many more? I'm just conscious of.
Yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. This was a potential break. So I get basically in summary, the older and more experienced you become, the more efficient and sophisticated your brain becomes. So what we need to do in terms of moving forward is build our ideal life. So we focus very much on our physicality, which is really important. And the attitude of mind, which is incredibly important, because I'm talking about our purple years. But I think we also need to build our ideal life. So the concepts we put into the new experiences, the new people, we need to build that. So the characteristics of good brain health and good general health are optimism, being lively, and actually being engaged. So folks, let that be our mantra. We're fantastic, we're determined, we're confident, we've got it going on. Let's shape it. Let's work with Zora and other people to kind of reshape what we're about. And I do have, oops, here we go. I do have myself a purple years coaching session. It's not something I do a lot of, because I do general coaching as well as management consultants, all the rest of it. But I would like to actually offer people that. So if people are interested, there's my telephone number there. Take a screenshot of it and so forth. And let's do our purple years together. Okay, thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carol. That was just so empowering. And I really hope that, you know, the queens on the platform will just, oh gosh, launch themselves today. You know, this is a new me. This is a new dawning. You know, nothing's off limits. I can do anything. All things are possible. Yeah. So 50, that's just a number. Yeah. You want to skydive, jump out of a plane, you know, in normal times, you know, you can do all that stuff. Providing you've got health and strength, you know, and you want to be adventurous, you can do stuff with your life. It's not too late, you know. Sometimes my mum will say to me, Joy, you know, you're getting old, you must slow down. I said, what, mummy? Slow down? I got so much things to do. If anything, in this pandemic, I'm running harder. I'm more busy. And that's the key, you know. All these things, keeping yourself busy, active, it's all good for brain health. You know, so there's just so much that people, you know, can do and need to be motivated to, you know, to do, get on with things. Almost like, you know, you need to get on with your life and just live and embrace stuff. So thank you so much, Carol. So I'm really conscious of the time. So what I want to do, Nadia, are you there, my darling, my co-host?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Are there any sort of like, I mean, I've been in the chat room a bit and wow, it's just blowing up. But are there any particular questions that have come out that you can just quickly throw out? Just give me 2 or 3.
Okay. Right. So we've got, what about hormone replacement? You know, the HRT
right.
came up.
Okay.
What about hair thinning and menopause?
Okay, let's just take one question. So the first one was about HRT. Could one of my panelists probably pick that up? Any thoughts on HRT and menopause? Carol, Abby, Zora. Can you hear, guys?
Unmute.
You need to unmute her.
Zora, if you could unmute.
Yeah. What's the actual question around HRT?
Basically, in relation to what about HRT and menopause?
Replacements.
It's a very broad question, not very specific, but what I can tell you is that if you are clinically safe to have it, I would consider it. And the reason why I say that is that for years I battled going down the naturopathic route and the homeopathic route. And the homeopathic, whilst I've got nothing against it, it takes several weeks for your body to build up a response to it. And many of you don't know me, but I was sacked from a particular job because I was just sweating too much. And how can you put a limit on the amount that you're sweating? Now, when I say I got sacked, I didn't get past the probationary period. And the job I could have done with one arm behind my back and standing on my head. And I was like, what do you mean? And they said, well, we have noticed you have a huge problem with, you know, the amount that you're sweating. But I couldn't stop it. I mean, it's just something that happens. I was doing my best to try and control the symptoms with a fan and a flannel in my bag and spare knickers in my bag and all of this sort of thing. But it's just something that was natural. But my sweats got worse over a period of time. They didn't lessen. So in terms of the HRT, I got to a point where I went for a new job a few months ago. And as a last resort, I said to the doctor, there's just no way that I can afford to lose yet another job because I can't control these sweats. I mean, the water was just pouring off me like I've just been in a shower. And I said, it's just too embarrassing. My students are asking me if I'm okay. I'm saying to them, oh, don't worry, I'm only going, I'm going through the menopause. But, when you're out there presenting in front of people and you can't switch off this button that's causing you to look like a wreck, a physical wreck. So I said to the doctor, I can't take that risk. I've been trying all the naturopathic options. Will you consider putting me on a very low dose? Now, I know what the estrogen, the combined pill, can do, obviously, because of the work that I've done. And he said, well, given what you've said, I will consider it. But because I've had a sister that died in her sleep 20 years ago, and because my mum's got a lot of other heart problems and it runs in the family, he said, you are a much higher risk than anybody else, but I will put you on one of the lowest doses that I possibly can. And it took about 3 weeks for it to kick in, but he's put me on a low dose combined pill. And I have to say, it's been transformative. When I opened the box and I looked at all the things that could happen, that little piece of paper inside the box, and it unfolded and unfolded and unfolded. I thought, gee, what am I putting myself? And I tried to weigh up the risks of having a lifestyle that I could cope with rather than all the clinical risks. And he said to me, the minute you feel that you got any pains in your calves, if you cough up blood, you get any pain in your chest, he said, stop taking the tablet straight away and get back to me. So for me, it was a last option. And if you can use all the homeopathic ones that my dear colleagues have suggested and have promoted, definitely take that route first. For me, HRT was a last ditch option.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Lovely. Really. The second question, another question, what can we do pre-menstrual?
Any of the other panelists? Abby, Marlene?
I would say pre-menstrual is read up about it. If you've got any, members of your families that's gone through it as well, talk to them, ask questions. I think a couple of months ago, we had a dinner session with 3 of my nieces who are in their 40s, and they were asking myself and my sisters who were in our 60s about the menopause. So they had a list of questions and they were asking us. So really just read up about it so that you can be, prepared. Although some may say that nothing can prepare you, you've got to actually experience the feelings, the sweats, the dryness and everything else. But at least you'll know what is happening or what may happen to you. So I think it's about that saying, forearmed is forewarned. It won't come as a complete and utter shock. So I would say, yes, do your own reading and research. And also now it's not taboo. Your mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, sisters will talk to you about the menopause. So do a little bit of your own research, because that is part of self-care, caring for yourself before it happens.
Lovely.
Can I say
the last question? Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Nadia, do you have more questions?
No, I just wanted to add that, but also studies have shown that women who do eat a natural diet, who are exercising and who are managing their stress, do not go through the same type of menopausal symptoms that other women go through. So, that I would say that as well.
Excellent, thank you. The last question, how do we define the end of menopause?
One of my panelists?
Can I just add there, my mother is 84 and she still gets hot flushes. So the end of menopause, that's again very variable, because some people go through menopause without none of these, the dire symptoms. Personally, for me, I would say the end of menopause is maybe when things start to slow down, as in the hot flushes and some of the other symptoms. But for me, the end of menopause is that you know, the worrying about or the complaining about, and just really go in the feelings. Menopause doesn't end, it just pauses.
Yeah, okay, okay.
You know, I would want to say as well that for the kind of the psychological side of things, I think, let me give you an example. So a family member is going through stuff, and so they'll come into to my room and talk to me. And after they talk for about a minute, I get a flush. Then when they go, I'm okay. All right. And then that happened for a while. The point is, you know, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, because every time I walk in the room and talk to you, you're getting a flush. And I just thought, oh my gosh. And I realized that actually what they were saying, I was so anxious about what was going on in their life, that when they talked, that was my symptom to say, okay, you're worried about what's going on in my life. But my brain didn't clock I was anxious. I just thought, I'm cool, I'm listening to what they're saying. No, I'm very interested. But my body was going, there's something else that's going on. So it's like I had two brains. So the conscious part of me is going, okay, I'm cool, this is fine, this is nothing. I've gone through stuff, this is nothing. The body was saying, no, honey child, you need to start paying another level of attention, because your body's telling you there's something that's not going, you're not happy with something. So I think for myself that when and they've actually cut down, because I've realized that. And I think as I go forward, the more I do some work, and I'm going to do some therapy. I'm trained as a systemic practitioner, actually, which is a form of therapy, but not fully in therapeutic stages. But I think I'm still going to go through some therapy for myself. I'm looking forward to it, because I want for it to be that any situation, I'm cool. That is the epitome of being cool, when certain things hit you. And I think at one level, it's a bit of a gift, she says. Not if it's having extreme experiences like, Zora, situation, I understand that, different. But, in between, anything in between, it's a bit of a gift, because it's saying, pay attention to yourself differently, be more compassionate.
It is a gift, and actually what we should remember, how contagious, when we were, or those of you who are still menstruating, and you're around women who menstruate, haven't you ever noticed that you all have your periods roughly around the same time? And with menopause, if you're around complaining menopausal women, oh gosh, what's going to happen to us and everything else, then you will start, that also becomes contagious. The mindset becomes contagious. So, be aware as well of the energies that you surround yourself with. But it is key, just really to do your own reading, speak, talk, share. You'll find that, you won't get everything that everyone else has got. Some people say, however their mother transitioned through menopause, sometimes, again, it's a generational thing. You might be the same. But I refuse to be the same as my mum, who took to her bed, Lord of mercy, this is the end, the second coming, and everything else. No, that wasn't for me. As I've shared, there were days when I just told menopause, not today. Yeah, but it doesn't really end as such. Some of the symptoms may end, but we're in this different chapter of our life. So, as the ladies have said, wear your purples, your pink, go out and do the things that you've always wanted to do, climb Mount Everest if that takes your fancy or whatever, but just it's your mindset. And if you have to laugh at yourself, it's okay.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to partying again.
Yeah, me too.
Right, ladies, I am so conscious of time. Thank you so much. What I'm going to ask, I know there's what, 286 guests on the platform still, so we've got a couple of questions. I'm not going to be able to get through all the questions, but what I ask, if you could please put your hand up so I can see Shelley's got her hand up, Faye Lewis has got her hand up. If you want to ask one of our panelists a question, if you could introduce yourself, please say who you are and where you're calling from. That would be wonderful. So Shelley, would you like to ask a question, please? No? Okay. Faye Lewis, would you like to ask a question?
I would like to ask a question.
Right. Could you
the first
and say where are you calling from, my darling?
Okay, my name is Faye Lewis. I'm calling from Spain.
Wow. Welcome. What's the weather like in Spain?
Well, it's very good, and that's one of the things was talking about going through menopause. I literally went through it on my own, living here, not having any support. My mother died anyway, so I couldn't go to her, and I was very aware that there was no one I could reach out to. Also, the topic of HRT, they don't prescribe it here. So it doesn't matter if you're on the local doctor or a private doctor, they won't prescribe HRT. So a lot of expats will get it from the UK, but that's just saying. The natural oils point, I've worked with aromatherapy oils before. Is there a point, can you actually overdose? I mean, you don't want to be dabbing and putting it on your tongue and all that kind of stuff. Without knowing that there's a limit to how many times you can do it. And my second question was to Joan about the courses. Are these courses online? Because obviously you talk about these great things and I can't assist. I wanted to know if any of these things are actually going to be offered maybe on Zoom. So yeah.
Let's take your first question. So your first question is about the essential oils, which is the presentation that Abby did. So Abby, darling, could you answer that question for us?
Yeah, sure. Hi, Faye. Lovely to see you. So in terms of essential oils, absolutely, just like anything, you would err on the side of caution. What I'd also like to add is that I was talking specifically about doTERRA essential oils, which are food grade, ingestible oils, not...
Oh, what's happened there?
Frozen.
You're frozen?
Yeah, Abby's frozen.
Oh, what's happened there? Let's see, hopefully she'll come back.
Been speaking about today, and you were ingesting, you would be taking a maximum of 24 drops of essential oil in any...
Oh dear.
Ah. Okay, let's see if we can get Abby back. I'm not sure. With Wi-Fi, isn't it? So Wi-Fi.
Sorry, yeah, my Wi-Fi is just really playing up now.
Okay.
So I don't know if you heard what I said there. Did you hear up to I was saying how many drops you could take?
You've got 24. That was 24, right? 24 drops.
Please repeat.
Are you back, Abby?
She's frozen again. Maybe she can write it into the chat.
Okay, what's your question to me? Can we just? I'm conscious of the time. So
am I breaking up?
Yes.
Are you back, Abby?
Yeah, am I back or am I breaking up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, all right. My apologies. I'm just wondering if Faye heard the answer to my question or whether I cut out.
You cut out. We had up to 24 drops. You can take up to 24 drops. Are you there? Have you gone again? Right. Faye, ask me, what are you going to ask me about the courses, my darling?
Right, the courses, are they offered online or are they there in the UK?
Right. Each of the presenters, they offer their courses. You'll have to, what will happen now? Presenters, please post your contact details into the chat. And then if you go into the chat, you can contact whichever presenter whose course you're interested in, or contact me and I can post you onto the presenter, because they all offer different things. All right?
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
Thank
you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm sure most of them would be actually online, to be fair. I think we've all made sure of that, which wouldn't be sensible not to.
Yeah. All right then. So the next question is coming from Lisa Wilson.
Hi. Hello.
Hi, Lisa. Is that Lisa?
Good morning, Queens, and thank you for doing this. I'm Lisa. I live in South London.
Wonderful. Welcome to the platform. So what's your question, my darling?
So my question is, I am on a number of medications for high blood pressure, for underactive thyroid, and every time I have a blood test, they seem to add more. But I would truly like to come off some of these and have something different. what would you suggest? I mean, I've listened about all the alternative oils and things like that.
Panelists, is this something any of you can answer? I mean, is any of this the medication you're taking in regards to menopause?
Some I don't take menopause, but obviously I'm going through the menopause. Right. So I get lots of leg cramp, I'm sweating a lot, can't sleep at night, you name it, it happens.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll take that. So I work in a holistic, or have worked in a holistic clinic alongside other doctors, and our training is that we have to look at pharmacology and also understand drug-herb interaction. So certain drugs, right, so straight off, when it comes to, there's two that they've told us straight that, you know, you don't tell them that you can take them off these drugs, and that's the high blood pressure and cancer. Legally, those two, we can't say we treat, but we do treat the person. So that's how we approach that. So obviously with your high blood pressure tablets, depending on how high your blood pressure is, if there's cholesterol involved, what else is involved, that is something you have to be very aware of, because that can lead to strokes, that can lead to many other things, aneurysms and so forth. So that one you have to take into consideration. So you would have to hold on to that. I have worked with people who have high blood pressure, and we work with, you know, other areas in circulation. So what you would need to do, my sister, is that with the others like diabetes, we've taken people off diabetic drugs. They no longer use drugs because they use lifestyle. So that's done. But what you will have to do is to look at what drugs you're using, and then which herbs you are going to use, because there are herbs that where there is drug herb interaction, so you do need to be aware of that. So I would say you need to go and visit a qualified medical herbalist, that would be, or a qualified person who understands what to use. It is important. That's what I would say. So you can use it, and with certain menopause herbs, you can use them alongside other medication. But I think if you're taking many, it's best to be aware of what you're using.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that answers your question.
Yes, it does, because many things I want to take, and every time I try to take something natural, it clashes with this. You can't have that. So therefore, I'm going through the menopause, but don't seem to be able to take anything because they think it's going to clash with other medication. Well, so that was quite helpful.
Okay, well, I think what you should do, you know, see if you can contact one of the presenters, contact, you know, Becky, and, you know, have a thorough, you know, look through what it is you're taking and see how you can probably, you know, ease off of all these different medications. That that's the route you want to go down.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much for that, my darling. So we've got Nina H, who would like to ask a question. Nina H.
Hi, ladies. Good morning.
Morning.
Hi, Joan. How you doing? Long time no speak, see or hear. Right. Didn't know I was going through it.
Where are you calling from, my darling?
I'm calling from Camberwell.
Ah, okay.
I'm your Guyanese lady.
Ah, okay.
Yes. So all the time when I was doing it, I didn't know I was going through it. And then I had a break and wondered why I was so tired. I suppose for me, there's lots of stuff out there. I'm not interested in HRT, but it's what to use when. I've been given a list of vitamins, sea moss, smoothies, this, that, whatever. And I'm also going through hair loss, like serious hair loss. I don't know when it's happening, but I wake up in the morning, there might be a patch here or a patch there. Or so I know I need to change my diet. I've heard the ladies focusing a lot on diet. So I need to introduce more fruit, veg, and that sinful word, water. But I don't know. I want something that I can do every day that will benefit my health. I'm like you, Joan, can't wait to get back out there. Very determined, but there seems to be a lot of procrastination. And I just want to be able to function.
What's the question?
Joan, I can't hear you very well.
saying, what was the question you'd like to ask one of the panelists, my darling?
What would be better in terms of the hair loss, the sleep and everything else in order to be able to function normally when the day comes?
Okay. Who would like to take that question? Is that for you? Anyone?
Hi, can you hear me? I'm conscious that I keep cutting out, hence I'm not answering questions. So I'm not showing my face because it gives me a bit more bandwidth. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. Go ahead, my darling.
Okay, great. So I guess the short answer to your question, because you did mention you'd heard some of the ladies talk about diet, and I think it's absolutely critical that you really look at your diet. And that word you said, sinful, which is water, we are 70% water. So the minimum that we need to do is be ensuring that you're not dehydrated, that you are looking at, you know, what's going in, what's nutritious for you, your fruits, your vegetables, your water, your coconut water, you know, all of these things have a huge impact on your hair, because whilst you're going through these menopausal, all these changes, your estrogen levels, your thyroid, which are all part of your endocrine system, are changing and are going through a process. So you have to ensure that you're giving the body what it needs in terms of the daily nutrients, because that is going to help you with everything: skin, hair, bones, and all of those other areas. So that would be my short, kind of simple answer. It's fine.
Okay, thank you very much, Abby, for that.
Do that.
Thank you. Dake, have you got anything to add to that? And Darko?
Yeah, one of the first things, and it might not seem so same, but it really is to take that time to love yourself. And it is, I hear the procrastination, and yeah, we get to a stage where, you know, to be able to push through to that, to the side. And it really is taking a stock and looking at yourself and giving yourself what you need. It, like we said, if it's a Ferrari, if it's a Rolls Royce, you're going to give it that. So you see, when you say that sinful thing, water, going out and walking, those are the things this structure needs to carry you through the rest of the years of your life. And it will do everything it can to keep you at optimal level. All you have to do is to feed it what it needs, and it will do the rest.
Okay, thank you very much for that.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for that answer. Really, really helpful. I've got Dawn Blackhead who'd like to answer questions. So Dawn, are you there? And where are you coming in from, please?
Hi, my name's Dawn. I'm calling from Mitcham.
Lovely. Welcome to the platform. So what's your question, my darling? Who would you like to ask a direct question to?
It's not really direct. I wasn't sure who it should be directed to. Okay. But what I did want to speak to or get an answer around was libido.
Okay.
So basically, I find that, you know, your sex drive has dropped, basically, and I'm wondering if it's ever going to return.
Who would like to take that?
It's how long is a piece of string, really. It's if you want it to return, then it will return, because sometimes you do have to make the effort. You know, you may have, you may not feel up to it, but again, when you know perhaps what's happening, I know it's not easy, because when we know things and we're still getting that feeling, and the feeling is quite overwhelming, but sometimes it is a case of just making the effort. So again, it's a mindset. If it's worrying you that your sex drive is lower, gone, you know, or when is it going to return, all of those questions, you know, the answer is sort of really within you, because you can make the effort. I mean, if you're in a relationship and you've got a partner who is loving and caring, and he'll know that you're going through menopause because you would have shared it with him, hopefully. So understanding, and remember, sex isn't just about you. There's two of you in that relationship. So it is about communication and talking about it. If it's because of the physical symptoms, you know that dryness down there and the itchy bits. If that is the case, then again, you can go to the GP and, you know, see what you can have done about it, or speak to some of the ladies, the presenters, because there are natural remedies. But again, it is mind. It is, you know, I personally would say it's within the mind, and it will return, but you're going to have to, you know, perhaps make the effort. So ask yourself, do you want it to return? And then if you're really true and you do want it to return, so then, you know, there's lots that you can do, you know, to make it return. So even if you feel uncomfortable with your body at the moment, so it's two things. You wanting it to return mentally in the mind. So getting your body in balance with that. So if you're saying it's, you know, it's because of maybe some of the symptoms as to why, then there's things that you can do to alleviate those symptoms. But if it's because of the mind and you just, you know, you're not up to it, you're feeling less attractive and so on, then there's things that you can do. So it's about getting those two in balance. But the key thing is, if you want it to return, there's no reason why it shouldn't.
Okay, that's fantastic.
There's just a couple of practical things as well, if I may, as well, in terms of, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things like testosterone cream that can be actually put on the clitoris, which is where the doctor might actually recommend that, or a natural herbalist. Because the reality is that you know, the phytoestrogens people are talking about, that actually does help your vaginal tissue. And then there's also some vaginal tablets, like there's Vagifem is a name. I'm not sure it's a name that we have in the UK, but it's actually a vaginal tablet that can be used, or lozenges as well for estradiol, which is one of the estrogen hormones, and progesterone lozenge. And then skin plumping food, because it's about the plumpness and the feeling of the skin. So there's some skin plumping foods that we ought to be emphasizing, like, for example, seeds, oils, avocados. You know, there's a reason why parents are loving off avocados. Foods rich in vitamin C. And you can check your zinc levels as well, because zinc is around the skin and so forth. And then the things we've talked about in terms of good bone health, all of those things actually help in terms of, you know, vitamin D3 and calcium with magnesium. And then maca powder. And then people come across maca powder, but actually it's a testosterone enhancing property it's got, and it helps to increase the sex drive, but not if you've got a history of breast cancer or you're undertaking chemotherapy. And then obviously the improved health, you know, in terms of, you know, your greens and so forth, because of course our absorption of nutrients decrease with age. If we're not absorbing the nutrients, and the things we're putting into it won't help. So let's get those foundational things done first. I think all of those things can help on top of the emotional content as well. And then lastly, I don't know about what Kandaki would say. Oh no, who was doing the essential oils? Ylang Lang.
Okay.
I tell you, I used to feel like, oh my gosh, it's a miracle thingy. This is before menopause. I bought, I have to say, I'm sorry, but it's personal. It worked. I bought the shower thing with the Ylang Lang essential oil, and I'm thinking, and I just kind of put it on, and it's the oil bit, and my legs finish. It was like, woohoo! So I think it was like nobody had told me how that worked. Now that worked for me. So maybe there's another essential oil that works for you guys. It was instantaneous.
Wow.
You know, I'll end it there.
Thank you for sharing that. Very insightful. But that's what it's about, you know. This is quite a personal, quite a deep thing, deep subject.
Joan, can I just add, just quickly onto what Carol said? She's absolutely right. Ylang Ylang is a natural aphrodisiac, as is patchouli, as is a...
Oh, Carol, Abby, you've gone again, darling.
Am I off mute?
All right, you're back now, yes.
Yeah. So Ylang Ylang is a natural aphrodisiac, as is patchouli, as is another oil called arbor vitae. So these oils, what they do is they work in line with the limbic system. And you've still got to work at this. It doesn't kind of just work overnight. I mean, well done for Carol for trying it out. But if you're using a diffuser and putting these oils into your diffuser, and you're inhaling them through. You can have your diffuser on a setting maybe 2 hours before you actually get into bed, so that the air is being diffused within the air before you go to sleep. You can also put them underneath the soles of your feet, particularly on the big toe, which is the reflex point, that is really going to help in terms of calming down cortisol levels and managing emotions. So these are things that you can just do. They smell wonderful, but also they are working on an emotional level in line with your cellular function through the body. So they are very powerful to use, essential oils.
Thank you.
I just add the last thing I want to say was as well that there are other herbal aphrodisiac, and there's one called horny goatweed. There's one called Turnera diffuser. And in terms of things like vaginal dryness, one of the things that we will use is cocoa butter pessaries that put in maybe an hour or two before intercourse, and it, because the area, it warms, you know, it warms and then it becomes lubricated. But there is another aspect. Just want to say that also at this time in menopause, that we have a role to play in life. There's a higher level in terms of spirituality. So sometimes we are being set aside to really channel it and tune on a wider level. So I know it is very important that we are having sexual intercourse with our partner, definitely, but there is, each of us have a journey that we've come here for in life. And when we leave this world, our partners don't go with us. So there is also that retuning that's happening, and to also sometimes sit with that, because that may be what's happening.
Okay, that's fantastic. We've probably got, maybe we can take maybe one at a stretch, 2 more questions. So Fire Tablet, you've got your hand up. Could you let us know who you are and where you're calling from and what's your question?
Hi, I'm Joycelyn calling from Enfield, North London. I didn't realise my name wasn't showing, so apologies everybody. And I'm definitely in my house cleaning clothes, so you will not be seeing me on camera. But thank you for a fabulous session this morning. So much information. To ask all the panelists if they can share one tip. I struggle with anxiety. I present as a confident person, and strong and powerful in how I deliver on a day-to-day basis, but I'm struggling a lot with anxiety, which is causing me, you know, to be quite paralyzed at times. So just some tips on how I can reduce the impact of the anxiety, and I know from what Abby and some of the others have recently said about the essential oils that you can use, but just some other tips, particularly in the workplace, on how to try and be, whether it's not, I'm not using probably the right words, but trying to act normal, even though I don't feel normal.
So you're looking for like strategies, aren't you?
Yeah, just a tip or a strategy. You know, I'm not expecting you to solve all the answers. You know, just one from, you know, any of the panelists would be a start.
Can I just start on a general front? Because I'm hoping that the psychotherapist will kick in. But in relation to the workplace, what I want to say to so many people is that what you experience of very often isn't necessarily personal to you. It's the context. So I'm a systemic practitioner, so I look to the system and look to the context. Remember I was saying before that when you get to your 40s, your body goes, hell no, I'm not, or your mind says, I'm not having this, I'm not putting up with this rubbish anymore, because the hormones have left you now. So now you're kind of left with yourself and you're going, nah, I don't like it. And so the anxiety, particularly in the work context, may mean that you're not happy with your context and you're internalizing it. So you're going through physical symptoms because you're internalizing what is going on with you. What I would suggest is that you see your body as a weather vane or a cultural vein of what is going on in that organization. And therefore, if you're feeling more anxious, what is going on around you that is exacerbating that? Because as Black folks in organizations, we tend to be the shock absorbers for every rubbish going. They just dump on us the microaggressions. We absorb all the organization's hatred, its wickedness, ambivalence, its hostility, and we absorb it. But when the hormones go, you haven't got it anymore. So I want you to compare how you feel when you're on holiday or in a different environment. Maybe not even when you're at home, because obviously you're still walking around with work in your head. Look at that. And we would say, if you've got yourself a piece of paper, do a big circle, and then you actually break your life chunks. What are the different spaces in your life that you feel the anxiety? And I suggest you actually also attack it. I'm sure the others will have internal proposals, but also take it from the external factor. What do you need to change around you? Don't take their rubbish either. Okay.
Thank you. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I'll just say something. Definitely the external factors need to be looked at, but there's one group of herbs that I would recommend for women, and when I do the courses I always recommend that, and it's a set of herbs called the nervines, because we as Black women, we know all of what we've had to go through. All of us sitting here know how the thing got. Right? So I always say keep that in your kit. And the nervines work specifically. You have 11 systems in the body, and the nervous system is the one that deals with your stress. And we spoke about thoughts before, but that's the one that deals with your stress. So just as it's not the way to deal with everything, but I've used this for patients who are trying to decide, do I go down the chemo road? Do I take natural? People telling them to do everything, and it's not my job to tell them, but I say take some time back. So this group of herbs helps you to sit back and give you space to make informed decisions. And these are the nervines. And one of the things I would say to you, my sister, a really good nervine are ones like vervain, oats, at smaller level valerian. So to sleep, you might take 5 mils of valerian to 10 mils for sleep, but to use it as an anxiolytic to reduce your anxiety, take smaller amounts, 1 mil, 2 mils, 20 drops, 30 drops. What that does, it works specifically on the nervous system, because that's what's happening. Your nervous system is becoming tense. Tension is in there. And then you begin to bring it down, so you get some internal assistance from the herbal world. But there are obviously other things that need to be dealt with, but that's one of the ways that you can use to assist yourself.
Can I also just jump in, because I think if you are suffering with anxiety, that to me says a whole range of things. Stuff that's going on internally and things that are going on externally that you can't control. I think what you need to focus on is what's within your realm in terms of what you can manage. I think the medication is brilliant, because I think everything has got to work in tandem. And I think in terms of a quick fix, if you can do things that make you feel good and feel well about yourself, that gives you a quick instant hit. That is very, very, that would do a great deal to boost your anxiety and to lower your levels of sort of the release of cortisol. Once you're anxious, the cortisol within your body, that is a stress really anxiety producing hormone, can easily spiral out of control. And by doing quick fixes, I think is really what you're saying is what you're looking for, because I think we all are looking for solutions. Really, the menopause has been brought into our lives where we question everything. We question things about the way that we're living our life, how we're experiencing our life, and how we see our life. And I think this whole platform and today has been about finding solutions and ways of looking at ourselves that's going to help us. So in terms of what I do, I would definitely say wear a colour that inspires you, wear clothes that boost your self-esteem, where you almost know you're going to get compliments. You're not fishing for them, but you're going to get them anyway. So do something like that. And there is an exercise in my course where I look at the wheel of life. Now, the wheel of life takes you through a whole process. It's scored on a 0 to 10 basis, and it looks at your finances, your health, all the social aspects, all the psychodynamic aspects. And on this wheel, you score yourself. The higher your score is, the more likely that your wheel is going to turn smoothly. So if you can imagine a tire, and at every point on the end of this perimeter of the tire, you score yourself a maximum of 10 in particular zones. So in the area of sex and health, if that is something like 2, it means that when you add up all your scores, if the circle of or the wheel of your life has got lots of pits and troughs, it means that you need to focus on those areas to bring your score back up to a level where at some point when you do the assessment again, you know that the wheel of your life, you're aiming for most of the wheel to give yourself at least a 9 or a 10 out of a maximum score of 10. So if you do that exercise, it will zone in on where you need to focus your energies on and give you some strategies as to how you can overcome them. So eventually your wheel of life will actually, in all areas, you're maxing it out to a maximum of 10 points, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. All excellent.
I'm going to ask one more question. 2020, would you like to ask your question? 2020, are you there? That's how you've come upon the participants wanting to ask a question. Joe Hogan, did you still want to ask your question? No? Well, I think we should just give our presenters a round of applause.
Sorry for the slowness in coming off mute.
Thank you, presenters. It's been magnificent, mind-blowing information. Oh gosh, my belly is full.
Brilliant morning.
Yeah, something there for everybody.
So much.
Absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you,
everybody.
I hope you can do that again because a lot of people didn't make it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Joan.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you.
Brilliant,
Thank you
brilliant.
so much.
Absolutely. Carol, I love your hair. I didn't say. She's gone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope you can do it again.
Thank you.
Amazing.
Presenters and everybody, Joan.
Thank you so much. It's been brilliant.
Absolutely amazing.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
That was amazing.
Yeah, it's so rich,
Thank
really
you.
rich
Really
in.
enjoyed.
Yeah. Presenters, could I please ask you to all put your details into the chat? Yeah, can they hear me? Right, presenters, can you please put your information into the chat? We're gonna do. How do I unmute? Right. Zora, unmute. Unmute, yes. Right, ask to unmute.
Okie doke. Yeah, I'm just popping that in.
Yeah, if the presenters could please put their details into the chat so people know how to contact you. So I'm just looking for the other presenters.
I've done that several times actually.
That's okay, that's fine. Carol, ask to unmute.
Yes, I've put it in there as well a couple of times.
Marlene,
You
put your details into the chat if people want to contact you?
Yes, it's been in there a couple of times.
Okay.
I think someone need just if you scroll through, you should find it. Yeah.
There's a tremendous amount of stuff in the chat, I can tell you.
Oh no.
Joan, is it possible, because we didn't get to see all the questions, is it possible to have access to the chat? No? Or we've got access to it now, but I mean, I just don't know how to, never mind. Can you hear me? You're on mute, Joan, still, if you're talking. Joan, you're still on mute.
You can save the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, unmute. Save chat. Oh, he's muted everybody, isn't it?
You can save the chat.
And I've pressed save it, and so where does it turn up then? Where will I find it?
It goes into onto your desktop. You can actually view in the folder. If you save the chat, it's only on a laptop you can do it.
Yeah, I'm on my laptop, so save it, and then show in folder.
Show in the
and it will
folder.
show me then.
Yeah, show in the folder, and it'll show you where you saved it.
Okay, brilliant. Okay then.
Which I'd love to actually. I'm on a tablet, so I'm unfortunately not going to be able to.
It's PC. Okay, right. I found it where it is. Thank you so much, because it's just, you know,
Did you find it helpful, Queens? Was this good?
It is
amazing.
Yeah, Joan.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome.
Joan, what about recording? Because I've got a number of people couldn't get in for whatever reason and would love to have the recording. Is that something you make available at all?
Yes, yes. Yeah. The session has been recorded, but we're looking at putting it into a series and having it in one place.
Right, okay, document store, cloud document store. Yeah, okay.
Yes,
have you got a mailing list to get in contact with everybody, Joan?
Sorry?
Have you got a mailing list to get in contact with everybody?
Yes, we have a mailing list, yeah. Because next week it will be on, I'm not sure yet. I normally turn this around within about 3 days. So I'm kind of like deliberating on the topic, and I'm probably going to do mental health next Saturday. So if people have an interest in mental health, you need to get in quick, because I know there was a lot of people trying to get in.
Yeah, I think 300 was the limit.
Yes, yeah.
Because I dropped out a couple of times and couldn't get back in because they said 300 people were in.
Wow, look at that. You busted it, Joan.
That's what we do when we come together.
Busted it.
When we come together, we are so powerful.
Fantastic.
Well
we
done,
are
Joan.
so powerful.
Right.
And I've always said that, you know, and you know, the speakers have been, I mean, my head is just buzzing. Because
mine is as well. I couldn't write fast enough.
It's just surprising how many women are going through the same thing, and you think you're on your own.
And that's when I was thinking about it. This is just the thing. I know there's like 2 and 3 here. Everyone's got their little circle, little clique of friends talking about it. But this is a bigger conversation. It really is.
Joan,
there's so much of us going through it.
Joan, have you given your details on here so we can contact you for when you do put on your links?
Yeah,
so you're talking about mental health next week. Yeah. How would I get informed of that? Because we
always start a thank you email to all participants, and in that we always let you know also what the next topic is going to be about.
Great.
That's great. So helpful.
Can I make a suggestion to all those who are on Eventbrite to follow? To press the follow.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Ladies, I've got to go now. So thank you so much for allowing me to share your platform. And Joan, just so much love. And you're such an empowerer. And every single one of the ladies who presented and every single queen that attended. So thank you all, you know.
Bless you, Marlene.
And take care of, and we'll keep in touch via Joan and everyone else. And
we're connected now. And, you know, I'm going to go through the chat because there's probably, you know, particular themes that have come out through the chat. Yeah. We can focus more in on particular areas of the menopause. Maybe not have such a long session, but it could be about, you know, a particular element from a particular perspective, whether it be psychodynamic, from essential oils, you know, from a herbalist perspective. You know, there's so much, you know, so much we can do, you know, and it's, and, you know, it's about talking, isn't it? Yes. So many women I know who probably behind the camera because they're sweating, you know.
Exactly.
You have a fan. You got to have your friendly fan.
I'll tell you, yes. You got your mobile fan.
That's my best friend.
But you know what, Joan? COVID has done us such a huge favour because I never heard of Zoom before COVID.
Yeah.
And if you had organised this at a venue in London, I wouldn't have been able to make it because I'm in the Midlands.
Oh.
And for me to travel down, I have to take maybe travel the night before. So this Zoom and Teams, Microsoft Teams, has just turned our lives around for the better.
Yes, every minute I'm Zooming, darling. Every minute.
I know. My diary is completely full of Zoom events.
To work, yeah.
But praise the Lord for COVID, my dear.
That's a new one.
What about that one?
Well, the enemy meant for bad, okay?
I don't know about that.
Meant for bad.
I was fortunate that I was we used a lot of this in corporate life a lot of times, not so much on the video conference platform or audio, but it's been lovely to connect by the various platforms, WebEx, Teams, Cisco WebEx, Teams, Zoom, even WhatsApp video now.
Yeah, WebEx sounds like something to invest your shares in. I haven't heard of it.
Well, Cisco.
Put your shares in WebEx.
Well, that's Cisco, which is, that's an IT company. But all those platforms, it's been really good, especially from keeping contact with family and friends abroad. Just be clapping eyes on them. It's been really brilliant. So that's that one. But as for Rona, that can go back. It's business.
Well, Queens, I'm more organised this week. My soup is already under fire.
You're lucky. Can I be in your bubble? Can I be in your bubble? You're so.
Yes. Oh, I can see one of my queens, Denise. How are you, my darling?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Walking queens.
Yes. I'm loving the session. I haven't hit the menopause yet. I'm 46, and I'm just getting prepared. But it's been.
You might not even get it. You might not get it.
I'm hoping not. I haven't had any children yet, so I'm holding it. I'm not giving up hope. So fingers crossed, but we'll see what happens. Yeah.
But it's not a disease to be caught. It's an experience. It's part of the rite of passage, and it's the gift of all stages. It just doesn't have to be bad. Go on.
Yeah, it's been brilliant. It's just listening to everybody, and it's been nuts, but it's good nuts, if you know what I mean. But brilliant.
The nicest thing is that you're not alone. It can feel like the loneliest time in your life. And there are so many other women out there who are experiencing something or nothing or a little bit of something. And, we are a generation where we're not our parents' generation. We're not going to sit here and sit back and let it overwhelm us. It really is our time.
Yeah.
So, you're amongst good company, my dear. There'll always be a story to tell.
No, it's good. I know it's at the forefront of everything. I mean, I work in HR, and there's lots of conversations and forums and platforms talking about menopause and having those conversations, and firms implementing policies and to make it more, let's get comfortable talking about the uncomfortable. So that's a lot of things going on. So this is brilliant. Absolutely.
I think that's the biggest change. We're actually talking about it.
Yeah. And experiences about people, lose, you, Zora, losing your job.
Yeah.
That's,
and it was a 60K job. Can you imagine?
Wow.
I was just like, who's going to pay the mortgage? Bloody hell, you get used to living a lifestyle that matches that sort of income. Yeah. I was devastated.
Of course. And then, obviously that's not something that could even, I don't know how long ago that was, but even now it just couldn't happen. It's just not, it's just obviously the lack of awareness, the lack of understanding, the lack of compassion, that we go through these things. It's like, oh, let's not talk about it. It's the whole, let's not talk about it, whisper in the corner and all that. It's like, no, we need to be more upfront. Let's get comfortable with talking about the uncomfortable. It's like the whole diversity and inclusion thing as well. Everything just needs to come out in the forefront, and let's just be upfront about it and grab it by the balls, excuse the expression, and pull up our big girl panty them and just get on with it and just do what we need to do. And it's, I just feel so empowered. I love this group. I mean, Joan God bless you. Just this group is just amazing. You know, the walking group, I love it, and I tell everybody about it, and I can't wait to get back walking. But this is brilliant. This is brilliant. Love it. Love it.
This is what I could do. I didn't want to just leave you guys. Do you know what I mean? So we can still be connected. We're not walking physically, but you know that I'm there for you. And I think it's actually raining. But hopefully later on, we can get out there and make sure. Remember, ladies, in my walking group, it's 20,000 steps. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the 20,000 at the moment. I'm going to go for a walk tomorrow morning.
20,000 steps. Yeah. You know there's no let up. So when we get back, we're hitting it hard.
Oh my God.
I'm all over it. All over it. Can't wait. Can't wait.
But it was Josie, Queen Josie, my line dancing queen.
Hey, everyone.
Darling. Quietly there. How are you?
Yeah. I'm absorbing. It's absolutely been brilliant. My head's itching from the amount of information.
Your head is scratching off.
I know. It's going like that, like all the information that I'm trying to process and take in. But a lot of it has resonated with me because I've been through it, but I don't really suffer per se, but I do suffer with the symptoms when I'm run down or I'm not feeling well. And then I get night sweats, but I only suffered for about 3 months where I used to drip on the train when it used to, like I stood in the shower in the doorway and just dripping. Wow. But it just lasted 3 months and then stopped. But I only get symptoms now when I'm not well. Okay. So I try and keep myself up there, don't I, Joan?
Yes, you do. And I hope you've taken that Floradex.
Yes, Mummy.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yes, Mummy.
Where does the group meet, please?
We meet in Catford on a Saturday morning, 8 o'clock sharp.
Do you think your 20,000 steps you can make it up the motorway to Wellingborough? Do you reckon?
Lord of mercy.
Keep walking.
Wait.
Start a group. Once they put a walking groove down the motorway, we might try it one time.
Zora, I'm in Burton Latimer. Can we do anything?
Where's that?
Wonderful. Cordelia, yeah,
please. Can we?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Oh, gosh.
I'm putting my number in the chat now.
Yeah, send your details and yeah, we'll hook up. I've put mine on there many a time, but to find a person of color around here is hard work enough anyway, isn't it?
And food. I don't know. I've only been here for 3 years.
I've been here for 4.5 years.
Okay, please, beg you, let's meet up.
I was out walking with a friend last week, and she's just had her knee replaced, and we were going at a nice, gentle pace. And I was saying to her, we need to have a walk and talk meeting.
Please, so I have a car. I can come and meet you guys.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. Have you put your details there?
Yeah, I did. 07961.
Let me just take a picture. I'll text you later.
Sorry to interrupt.
Sorry.
Can I?
Oh, that's lovely.
That is beautiful.
Oh, I didn't think anybody was so far north as me.
I put it in the group chat, and I thought, because I said, is anyone in Northampton, Kettering, but no one thingy. When I heard you say Wellingborough, I thought, Wellingborough? Oh, I know that. So
we must talk later. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay. Joan, can I just, I have to go now because I've got clients. So
of course.
I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been amazing. Thank you for everyone for being here. And I just want to leave everybody by saying, because this is my mantra, this is our freedom phase. This is our freedom phase.
Definitely.
And whenever you're feeling that mindset coming on of getting down or feeling low, anchor this into your brain. This is my freedom phase, and feel yourself elevated. Feel the lift
You don't have to think
within.
about wearing white trousers. You can just put them on when you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. This is our freedom phase, ladies. Mwah, love you all. Stay blessed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hi, can I quickly say a quick thank you? Because I had a hysterectomy in August, and 2 days after, bam, into full menopause.
My
name's Christine.
Is your camera on? Can we see you?
No, oh no, because I'm in my bed.
It don't matter.
Oh Lord, now I've got my head in the mess now. And
you're amongst friends, Christine.
Don't
you're
worry,
amongst
honey. I don't let them pressure you.
I'm still in my bed.
The thing is, for 2 years, I was saying to my doctor, I think I'm going through menopause, and she's really good. She sent me on tests, and she said, no, the levels aren't right. You're not in menopause. So when I had the hysterectomy, I was thinking, oh, this is okay. Then 2 days later, bam, it just came. And then I realized I was going through menopause previously, because this is the same thing, but on a 1,000 times different scale kind of thing. Oh. So I'm just trying to adjust to everything now. So yeah, thank you for this. This has been amazing.
Oh, thank you. We need to talk.
Just before you go, Christine, the fact that you had a hysterectomy is neither here nor there. But if they've taken your ovaries,
yes,
as well, they should have advised you as to how they're going to support you to replace the hormones that your ovaries normally manufacture. They shouldn't have just left you high and dry.
Well, I was doing like the herbal route, but I've been doing it for so long that I could just not take, because I've got so much other complications. The drinking of the liquids was just hard. So now I've gone to homeopath now. So I'm doing it via that route instead, because it was a choice of, you do realise when you take your ovaries out, you're going to go into menopause. But that was one of the biggest problems, and it was like disrupting my whole life.
Did they need to take your ovaries?
Yeah, I had like 2 conditions.
They normally should counsel you to give you lots of support, because you do, the effects or the symptoms can be very dramatic.
Definitely. But yeah, thank you. I'll be following you guys.
Oh, well, okay.
Thank you.
Follow us on Eventbrite. Yeah, so we'll let you know what the next thing is.
Definitely. Thank you.
Anybody else in my walking group is here? Mary, how are you doing?
Hi guys.
Hi.
It's been fantastic this morning. With Josie, my head's just full. I can't comprehend. It's amazing. It really is amazing. Listening to all, what's been said and the advice, so informative. And I'm just sitting here. I had to run to the loo, and I just gone butt on. I thought, oh my goodness, let me come back. It's been fantastic. And as you know, Josie and Joan, it's been brilliant, especially with the walking and the exercise that we've been doing every Saturday. And
you're good as well, Mary. You're brilliant.
Oh, thank you,
the classes
Josie.
Are brilliant.
Love you to bits. And to see how our ladies have come and how brilliant they've become, yeah? And the exercises and the smiles on their faces every Saturday, because they miss it. Even when we had that couple of rain the other day, and a couple of the ladies, they still went out in that rain and they mashed it up. But as you said, we wouldn't be here without yourself. Josie, as I said, big all you up, man, because it's been fantastic. And we just want to
Where in Catford are you meeting?
Yeah.
Pardon?
Nowhere at the moment.
Where in Catford do you meet?
In Catford, Lawrence House, just behind Lawrence House. That's our meeting.
The car park.
The car park. Yeah, the car park.
On Canadian Avenue.
Yeah, that's the one.
How will I? Well, I'll just see a group of women, won't I?
Yes, you can't miss us.
If you contact
okay. Thank you. It's been excellent, absolutely excellent, and spot on with everything, and on time. We need that. Thank you. God bless you.
What time do you meet?
8 a.m.
So you can enroll and we can get you registered and everything. So contact me and I can give you some more details about the group.
Thank you.
Don't mess about. Don't mess about.
Oh, I know.
How long is the walk for, though?
It depends on how I feel.
How long is a piece of string?
Oh dear.
2 hours.
Yeah, about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours max.
And then you have the exercise with our lovely Josie, and then you have exercise with me. And the ladies, all they just do is just come.
Like we have fun. We have fun. That's the main thing. We have fun.
Yeah.
Who else is here? Lana, why are you off camera? Queen Lorna, are you there?
I'm not in a state to be seen. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Let me see if I can show myself a little bit.
Good.
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you so much.
Can you mute me, Joan? Mute me, Joan. Just mute me.
Okay,
no, Orange.
bye
Oh my
everyone.
gosh.
Zora,
We're a bit into it.
be in touch, but bye everyone.
Orange.
Yes,
I'll be in touch.
outside.
Orange.
I'm gonna go and walk barefoot outside in my garden now.
Orange.
Bye, ladies. Thank you very
Bye,
much.
Nanny.
It's been a pleasure.
You're right, Carol. That was good.
Thank you very much, honey. Can I just say,
Mum,
Joan, before I
pass
go,
that bowl.
that
Mum, pass
we've got
that
some in the
bowl.
background.
Mum, pass that bowl. Mum, pass that bowl.
Who's that? Goodness. Oh wow. Yeah, just to say, Joan, it's a very funny thing because you're used to being outside walking, but you're so full motivational, high energy that actually you probably like it hiding that light under a bushel. There's a whole, or maybe you did that in other areas, but I wasn't aware of it. Because the high energy and the clarity and the kind of forcefulness of how you present, and obviously your understanding of the issues as well is really, really important. So that you're actually able to ask really intelligent questions that are able to move people on, and also to feel the pace of the room and feeling what people want to kind of have asked questions about. I think that's really, really good. And of course, we've all been part of lots of Zooms over the last how many months. And so, so when I say it, you do actually stand out, which is really good. So I'm coming in your direction for something. Yeah, it's really good, really good. And just to say thank you very much for the opportunities, ladies. I've thoroughly enjoyed all the speakers. I've got my notepad filled. And for me, it's very, very interesting about different perspectives to be taken. So I'll be in contact with you guys separately and so forth. But it's been a pleasure because we talked about those women's groups, but this has been the most interesting one for me. I don't know why, well, I guess content-wise, yes, but spirit-wise as well. So God bless everybody. And I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
It's a long goodbye, isn't it?
Yes, innit? Bye.
I'm going to sign off as well and just absolutely echo everything that's been said. Joan, we haven't met in person, but I feel like you're a spiritual sister. And ladies on the panel and those of you that have taken the time out to come and listen to us today, it's been an absolute pleasure, honour and blessing. Joan, I can't begin to thank you enough. It's been extraordinary.
Thank you guys.
You are a phenomenal woman.
You know what I hear that?
Indeed.
We have the expertise in our community. We just need to give them the platform to come and talk to us.
Yeah.
I want to see my Black sisters, my Black brothers up there. We've got our doctors, our consultants,
yes, we have.
We've got our professional, eminent people up there. I want to hear what you've got to say.
Yeah, well, we're on our way. This is our time, isn't it, ladies?
Our time.
Our time. So I salute you all, but I'm going to sign off now and put on my gardening clothes and get out there in the garden. Yeah, the wind has blown my garden furniture all over the garden, so I have to go and find it now. See you, folks.
Thank you, Zora.
Thank you, Zora. Bye. Take care.
Take care. Queen, who else is anybody else here? Nadia, thank you for a magnificent job.
Well done, Nadia.
Looking after the
Thank you, Nadia.
To let everybody
darling.
Thank you. 100, then that was it, wasn't it? We had to let everybody in. 300, absolutely fantastic. I think you need to expand that 300. I think a lot of people didn't get in.
I know.
There's a way.
Could have had more.
I had. Of course, there was. You could have had more.
Yeah.
We're going to look at that. Sonia, Tavernia, Reed, I can see you. You're hiding. Another one of my queens. How are you, queen? You're on mute. We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can see you, but I can hear you now.
Oh God, I'm so sorry, my darling Joan and panelists. I tell you what, Joan, I still go on my Queen's walk.
I can't see you. I can't see you, babe.
Oh, I don't look good, Joan. I've just come out the shower because I did my Queen's walk to the Wells Park.
Oh, brilliant! Well done.
I listened to you all from the start until now. I've just come out the shower. I was in the shower with you and the panelists. I've come out.
Wow.
Refreshed. I've been invigorated. I just felt that, you know, all what was said, I resonate, just like Josie said, I resonated with a lot of what has been said. I've learned a lot. There's still more to learn. I'm keen and I'm looking forward for more conversations like this with us Black women. It's just fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Do you know what I mean? And thank you, Joan. My journey started with you. The change of my life, my thinking, my being, my well-being started with the Queen's Walk, and I done Josie's steps and Mary's exercises. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And the panelists, thank you, ladies. You've done me a world of good. Thank you.
God bless you. Lovely. Sade, I can see you hiding. Queen, I haven't seen you for quite a few weeks.
Hi, Joan.
Hello, my darling. Where are you? I hope you've been walking.
I have been walking. It's been excellent. And just today, this morning's session has just been excellent. I just turned on to say thank you to everybody, to you and everybody on the panel. It's been brilliant.
God bless you. God bless you.
So hope to see you soon.
Yes. So, yeah. All of you, I'm expecting all of you back. 25,000 steps, I think we're going to be hitting. What? 25,000 steps. Jude, Queen Jude, where are you? Queen Jude.
Morning.
Hello.
Morning, Jude.
I can't see you, babe.
I'm here. I'm here. I don't even know where I am, but I'm here. Morning, ladies. Oh, my Jesus. Morning. How are you? Hey.
Morning.
Hello. You good?
Good, yes.
Yeah, lovely.
Oh, hi, Jude.
Good.
Morning. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. If I wake up on time, I'll be there Monday.
Morning.
Well, I'm looking for you.
Yes, definitely. But no, it was rich for everything else everybody else has said. It was a good session. Definitely was.
Definitely.
Very informative. Lots of notes.
Old colleague, Shirley Morrison. Are you there, Shirley? She's on mute. She's on mute. Queens, I think I need to go cook on a Saturday soup.
You understand?
Yes.
Finish doing your thing.
Go and do your housework. Yeah. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning.
Bless you.
All good things. Love you all. Next week, I think it's going to be mental health. I think that's where my spirit is kind of like drawing me to. So that's a big thing that's affecting our community, and we need to talk about it. We've got our own professionals there on the platforms. I'm going to pull them in to come and, you know, give us different strategies from different perspectives. So yes, yeah, a lot more big conversations to be had.
Wonderful.
Lovely. Brilliant.
Looking forward to it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Keep resilient, powerful, don't give up, everything's possible. Yeah, you can still wear that nice sexy dress, get your heels out. You know, age is just a number. Yeah?
I hear that.
Do your thing, live your life, enjoy life, embrace life. Yeah, when you wake up in the morning, say your affirmations. I am beautiful, I am strong, I am powerful, I am resilient. I've got so many. Yeah. And just keep loving yourself. You heard one of the presenters say that. It's about loving you. Keep loving yourselves. Yeah. Remember, we are the original people. Yeah. And we've been through a lot. And we've got a lot of work to do. Got a lot of work to do. So Queens, I'm going now. Have a fantastic day.
Bye everyone.
Thank you, Joan.
Enjoy. Thank you, Joan.
Yeah.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Joan. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Source, I hear that.